Dap Kings, Brooklyn's own Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings. It's, what are we calling this? Modern Day Soul Week?
I think that's what we should call it.
Well, two strong soul acts this week with really the great Robert Randolph, the great Sharon Jones, the great Dap Kings. I've seen Sharon perform live before. It's church. It's church, as they say. She's
phenomenal. And so super cool.
I love any black church up until, accepting Jesus. And I'm like, at that point, I'm not positive about.
It's really the religious part that turns
the religious part I don't like so much, where you say we do bad stuff. But all the rest of it I love.
Oh, yeah, where everyone's got their hands in the air.
Like the singing and jumping up and down and feeling the spirit. I just don't want to hear that an old book means that I'm a bad person. We have just some. When they go, well, you can't, like with the Pope coming, everyone's like, well, you can't be a cafeteria Catholic where you just pick out the stuff you want. I'm like, why not? That's what I do if I'm in a cafeteria. I'm not going to take the stuff I don't want. Why would I treat the religion different than cafeteria food?
Or the rest of life, for that matter.
I'm starting with a Sunday. All right, this is the Bennington Show. It's really Brian Regan week. It's strange to see Brian out doing so much stuff. This is the biggest push of his entire career, I believe, in terms of mainstream press and getting out there and doing stuff. Friday, we will start Brian Regan weekend. The big point of that, of course, is Comedy Central will have him live from Radio City this Saturday night. I'm going to say 9 o'clock.
Yes.
Most of the times they put a comic on 12:30 in the morning, but Brian's prime time.
Prime time, man. This is exciting.
It is, although didn't he look kind of tired with it all yesterday? It seemed like... I'm
sure it's very overwhelming, be live at Radio City.
I don't think that part bothers him. I think what bothers him is this stuff. Running around telling people, I am worthy of your attention. I don't think he likes that. But walking out on stage, I don't think it bothers him. It's just a gig for him. All the comics put up on the iBank their favorite Brian Regan bits over the years. And there's like YouTube clips to that you can listen to. Pretty cool. Pretty cool week for him. So I'm doing Ant's show yesterday. He did Opie's show. He's just running around talking to newspapers, magazines. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, that part does sound pretty exhausting.
It's terrible. It's terrible. People asking you stupid questions. It's like what poor Donald Trump goes through now. Right. Where in the middle of his thing, in the middle of his press conference, they'll ask him about the Ravens. And then you'll read the review of it, and people are like, how nutty he is talking about the Ravens. And they go, he was asked. A thing came up on the local New York news, Picks, and they're saying, hashtag Twitter fail. Trump said that he basically didn't ask me anything on Twitter, and they just, put up any mean tweet, like what's like the be orange face. You're like, that's Twitter, dude. That's everybody. You can't sit back these days and kind of go through things. It just happens in real time.
If Pix 11 says it's a hashtag fail, I believe them.
Because the amount of viral?
They have their finger on the pulse of viral videos.
Well, I watched two newscasters masturbating to Pizza Rat last night. This is unbelievable. A rat has a pizza. So this is interesting. So if a rat has part of a pizza, it's nothing. It's gross. He has part of a hot dog. But if he has the whole pizza, suddenly we need to go crazy and tell people to share it.
Delightful. Where's he going to take that pizza? That's not going to fit in a hole, you silly rat. How is this news?
Yeah. Fucking insane.
So annoying.
A rat found a slice of pizza. He didn't make it. If he fucking made it like that Pixar rat, that'd be unbelievable. Ratatouille.
She actually turned to him and was just like, now he probably has never come across a whole pizza before. I would imagine he's found crumbs. I'm like, how long are we going to have a conversation about this rat?
That was Tamsin, and I knew her in Florida. She and I used to work next door to each other when she first started out. She's busted her ass to get there doing, like, almost every newscast the Pix has. And then also writing some dating books. She had a dating site with her and her husband, and then they had a nasty breakup.
Nice.
So her next book was Single and Loving It or something, you know? Just like, go with it. Just keep rolling. When a Spouse Dies by Thames.
She is on top of this.
Yeah. But right now she's crazy about this. It's up on the iBang, that pizza. It seems like it's looping right now. And then there'll be like this, it's a cheese pizza. I guess rats don't like mushrooms. You know, like there was no mushrooms, or he'd be dragging that.
He didn't choose which slice.
He's taking it back to his tiny rat babies. That's all. There was actually a thing today. A bunch of people sent it to me as if there was something to comment. But Ratatouille on Twitter was fighting with Mother Animal from Full Metal Jacket in a political battle going back and forth of, I don't know, Bernie Sanders or just infinite capitalism. I just get so... Why would either of these guys? They don't represent the parties. They have nothing to do with it. One's a comic. The other is an occasional actor. Is Patton Oswalt. And I don't know what Mother Animal's name is. I don't know his real name. Do you?
Adam Baldwin.
See one of the fabulous Baldwin brothers from Long Island? Because they are gorgeous.
Love them.
My favorite one is the one who keeps going to rehab and it won't stick. How many Baldwins are there?
4?
There's 4.
Stephen, Alec, Billy, and...
Day-Day? I think one of them's name is Day-Day.
Day-Day.
Yeah.
Jermaine.
Yeah. Jermaine is there. I even believe there's Baldwin sisters, but totally ignored by the world at large. Stephen Baldwin used to be in the news quite a bit, and he's quieted that all down.
Yeah, he's still born again, I think, maybe.
Well, I right now he's probably born preteen. I mean, it's been a while since he's been born again. But there was a while there, and I know he was in his 40s where he was doing like extreme skateboarding.
Yeah.
And like he would come in, he'd have a skateboard with him.
He's pretty extreme.
Do you skateboard, dude? No, I just have it, because the kids like to see it.
It does look good with my hair, though.
Let me tell you about another extreme dude with long hair. He used to run by the name of Jeebus Christ. And that dude was psycho, man. Yeah, he'll give you a 360 on your soul. What?
This guy's really relating to us right now.
They will do that with no matter what. Let me tell you about another hacker, okay, who was up against the man. Hashtag Jesus Christ. You're like, really? Because they can make it fit no matter what the occasion is. I've seen those guys like, well, Jesus wanted you to own multiple houses. He wanted you to be involved in a multi-level marketing plan.
Good.
It's odd. Because he never brought it up. He never even brought up that there was a North America, which would have been pretty unbelievable if he had.
I saw one once where a guy was saying, if you like to flirt, you like to hang out with boys and girls and flirt, you got to try to flirt with Jesus.
Oh, God.
And it was so uncomfortable. And he's telling these kids,
hashtag no homo.
Compliment Jesus like you want Jesus to court you.
Look, I think he's out of my league. I'm going to tell you that right now.
I like to play hard to get with Jesus. That's my game.
Let me tell you about another bearded hipster. Made his own furniture.
I don't know where this is going.
Jesus again, I guess. He did everything. And in every group. Let me tell you about another nerd superhero. Okay? His special power, love, forgiveness. Not all that good. All right, so all that stuff is up on the iBank today. Some crazy stuff up there. Chris, give me another big story off the iBank.
Ryan Reynolds.
Deadpool?
Yes, Deadpool. He is playing Deadpool, but he just revealed to GQ that his buddy of 25 years, a friend he's had for a very long time, he had a falling out with him because the dude tried to shop pictures of his kid and Blake Lively.
Oh, E.
Yeah.
Oh, E. How could you?
How does this happen?
He's the worst E ever.
I guarantee you, if you talk to that dude, he's blaming everything on Blake Lively. He doesn't see any of his old buddies before. Comes at me with this crazy picture story.
Apparently, it was like delivery room photos too. I think it was just like
I fucking really want to see him. Why does anybody want to see anyone's baby? I got news for you. A famous person's baby looks like a baby.
Yeah,
you could put any picture in there and say, "Isn't that baby cute?" And you're like, "I guess so." I know that's what people always say. No one ever says I saw a really ugly baby.
But to be fair, I would never buy a magazine because it had a celebrity baby in it. But yeah. I have enjoyed looking at pictures of celebrity babies. But to be fair, it's not because they're celebrity babies. It's just because they're babies. It's not like...
First of all, I
don't think they're better babies.
There's only one celebrity baby I ever like, John Jr. in that little short suit. Saluting his dad when he went by.
Sweet little John.
Yeah. John was probably the greatest of all toddlers.
Yeah.
Never really could follow it properly. He never was able to get past that. He was like Manny from Modern Family. Like, he peaked really early.
He tried with the magazine, but it just didn't work out.
George?
Yeah, George, the magazine.
Forgot about that.
Oh, yeah. But what's right? I don't think he's really broken up with his buddy.
There's the Pope's plane taking off, Chris. Pope's plane's taking off.
Peace out, Cuba.
Here he comes.
Pope plane.
I'm going to track his flight.
Could you imagine if somebody would come over and say to the Pope, "I need you to put your seat up"? Pope's like, "Fuck you. I know for a fact everything's great.
Please put that tray up."
This is God's tray.
It's God's plane, really.
Look, there's flags on the front of the plane.
That doesn't seem aerodynamic.
No, it doesn't seem like it's good for anybody. I never saw a plane with flags on it like that before.
Very silly, actually.
Flags.
Oh.
Flags.
Yeah,
it is. It's silly looking.
Because they're absurdly small for that plane.
I don't think you want a large flag up there.
They must have forgotten to take them off. They got to stop that flight.
One of those flags says Jesus walks on it. That's weird.
He's a Jesus fan?
We all are, whether you admit to it or not.
They're shutting down all UPS delivery in the city Thursday and Friday because of the Pope.
And where am I supposed to get my weed at?
Got a shipment coming in from Colorado.
Joe, did you smell the skunk in the hallway when you were taking Birdie out?
I did.
In my building last night.
Smelled that reefer.
Yeah. I was just going knocking door to door, saying, "Let a brother in."
It's your neighbor.
Don't bogart it.
I'll let you in the prize closet. You give me some of that herb. 100 days. Man, they're taxing a lot out there for that Pope.
It's because of the flags. There can't be traffic on that thing.
You're anti-gay. Looks like they're taxiing right now. Moving down perfectly.
They really are covering this taxi.
You'd think he'd have his own Pope plane, as opposed to going Air Italia.
They're doing a new thing where they're selling potpourri, and it's fucking going crazy.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, it's just like little smelly popes that you can, but I guess in the bathroom.
I need it.
I know you do with that fucking ass of yours. Your ass dropped out yesterday in a frightening sense.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it made me believe in the devil.
Friday, we were downright concerned for you.
I mean, when you're sweating through a shit, you're fucking disgusting. Hey, Ryan in Michigan.
Rebounded.
Yo.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, how's Fez?
What's that?
How's Fez, man?
Fez does not live a public life anymore. He does not want his life discussed.
He's totally done with the radio? He's not on any other stations or no other program?
No, he's on 3 other radio stations.
Very exciting.
He's coming back from open heart surgery, and then the what did he get? I'm going to say it's spoiled.
Yeah, he got an infection.
That's the word I'm looking for, spoilage. Yeah, Fez is doing traffic right now for a zoo show in Tampa. That's what this was all about. So yeah, his infection is doing much better. He's doing good.
Yeah.
You know, slow health. He's traveling at a nice slow pace onto health. He was telling me that he was listening the other day with BL though.
Oh,
And
he was?
He thought he was going to have another heart attack.
Oh, God. She'll do that to him.
Well, he says he's never heard anyone lie as much as she does. And I go, I don't think that they're lies. I just think that she doesn't know what the hell she's saying. It's like getting mad at a special needs child.
Yeah, I don't think it's as conscious as I'm going to create a lie.
There's no other traffic out there, obviously. There's got to be something wrong with the Pope's plane.
I'm concerned.
He should be long gone by now. He should be over the...
He should have pulled off and taken right off, but they're just taxiing very slow. Now, there's not another airplane anywhere near them. Either that or they just plan on driving slow up 95. It's going to take
safer this way.
We're shutting down 95 for the Pope.
Might as well. Why can't we have UPS? Because the Pope's here. What is that about?
He hates UPS.
Because there'll be too much traffic of UPS trucks in the streets.
What about FedEx?
FedEx, I haven't heard. I believe FedEx is still okay.
They'll find a way.
FedEx is like Comedy Central still putting on the 9/11 bullshitter. Somebody told me that guy, Steve...
Renazizi.
Steve Renazizi is going to be doing Gavin's show this week on Anthony's network. And I've been invited on there for a reunion show.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Me and Eastside Dave.
Wow. On Anthony's show?
Yeah. Because, it'll be the three buddies. It's the only place legally we can meet. Neither one of those folks are allowed back in this building. And I can't get on Chris and Eastside Dave's Smodcast that they do.
Why won't you let them on the Smodcast?
And Dave said to me, he goes, how come Chris never passes back and forth information between us? I don't know. I can't tell you. But I know we'll be getting the old gang back together. I believe next Thursday, provided I don't have anything here, right?
No, you do not.
I know next Friday I could have an unmasked. Is that correct?
That's possible, yes. Next
So
Friday.
I got to watch out for that. So when you're saying no, you do not, that's the stuff that you should be looking out for. God, Dave is right about him.
What else does he say?
Says you don't give a fuck.
I trust Dave on this.
Bullshit.
The Highlander was a goddamn bloodbath.
Oh, God.
We have lost 90% of the Highlanders, including, I'm just going to read off a list of friends. Returning champion Joe List, gone. Tom Sharpling, gone.
No.
Gino Bisconti, gone.
Oh, he knows football.
Gary Goldman, gone.
Oh.
Barry Crimmins, gone.
This is horrible.
Nick DiPaolo, gone. This one's going to hurt. Tammy Pescatelli,
Jesus.
gone.
No.
She was so excited.
Not Tammy.
Dave Smith, gone. Nate Bargatze, gone.
Oh.
Tommy Johnigan, gone.
Come on.
Paul Morrissey, Matthew Lane, Tommy Pope, Ari Shafir, Bobby Kelly, Joe DeRosa, Jimmy Pardo.
Jesus Christ.
Tom Segura. Na, hey, goodbye. We lost 7 comics last night for picking the Indianapolis Colts. One person made the mad choice of picking the Jets, and he did it from Malaysia, the great Tom Rhodes.
Has survived another week.
Don Jamieson picked the Falcons.
Has survived another week.
Bridget Everett picked the Carolina Panthers.
Has survived another week.
Casey Balsam picked the Cincinnati Bengals for some reason.
Has survived another week.
And then Thursday night, Lisa Lampanelli and Jamie LaSalle picked the Broncos.
Has survived another week.
All right, so these are your final six.
Oh, Jesus.
Malaysian's favorite comedian, Tommy Rhodes. The heavy metal gangster of love, Don Jameson. The one and only Bridget Everett. Casey Balsam, who I don't even believe I know.
She hasn't been on the show, but she wanted in on the Highlander.
Here's to her. Her picture's beautiful, by the way. Lisa Lampanelli, the Queen of Mean, and Jamie LaSalle, basically the King of Nice. There are your final six. Now, people are saying to me, well, I guess next week will be the last week, the way these guys are. These guys are going for another 9-10 weeks.
You go back and forth.
It just doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter. They could all pick the same person, the same team next week.
Yeah.
This could still go on for a while. Here's the interesting thing. It's boys versus girls. 3 guys, 3 beautiful, funny ladies. We have never had a champion be a woman before.
No, it's been a boys' club so far.
Yeah, so far, it's been total boys' club. Glass ceiling might be broken.
Could this be the ladies' year?
Looks like it. And, Jamie LaSalle is nice enough to be a woman.
Sure. I'll take that. If he wins, I'm going to count it towards my team.
Now, Tom Rhodes and Don Jameson, I'm sorry, that's nut dragon masculinity.
All
there.
dude.
Yeah. Those guys, you got one rock and roll guy, one heavy metal guy. Jamie, a very nice guy that, quite frankly, you would be happy if somebody brought him home to marry your sister. Other than the fact that he's married. That would be the only
that's going to be a problem, but...
What about your other family, Jamie?
They're fine with this. Don't worry.
We're Mormons. And Mormons are better at everything. I don't know, watching that Indianapolis game, those Colts fans look like Mormons to me. That's the liliest white stadium.
It's Crackertown in that place. It's ridiculous.
I mean, anywhere in town, if you're in Indianapolis and you see a black guy, you just say, can I get your autograph? Because I know you play on one of our 2 sports teams.
And they're all just wearing luck jerseys, every one of them to a person.
You picked him as elite yesterday.
I picked him number 4.
And he looked... First you put him at 3 and then moved him to 4.
Yeah, then I moved Eli to 3.
That's crazy. Your inability to put together a list proves we have 2 elite quarterbacks today.
Yeah.
2 that you could say, these guys are the cream of the crop. There's many other good quarterbacks, but they're without the rings or the consistency. Or age has got to them in New Orleans. At one time you looked around, you probably were saying, we have 5 or 6 guys that we consider elite.
Probably 3 years ago was when we had like 5 dudes that were badass.
I'm telling you now, and I only figured this out to watch your struggle and embarrassment. You picked 2 that, you had clear running. And then after that, you started your rambling run-on sentences as a way to defend a pick, which by the way, by the time that you get to 3 or 4, you should not have to defend yourself. It should be, the obvious. Like, we all nod, tip our hats, hold a drink up. You shouldn't have any problem with it. But there's only 2 guys out there. One of them is getting a little long in the tooth, but there's only 2 guys that you could say, these fellas are elite. Now, we thought Andrew Luck was right on the brink of being an elite, but I will tell you this. I'm going to give you a little football fact. If the front line doesn't block for you, you stink and you can't throw the ball. It changes everything in the way you look. Like, if somebody can get Aaron Rodgers, he looks terrible. If someone can get to Tom Brady, the deflated king of New England, he looks bad. So you got to have a good front line to be an elite guy. The Colts, the Jets dominated them. The fucking Jets, who I live in New York, and the Jets weren't even mentioned this year.
Yeah.
the amount of Jets fans, it's like a small patch in Long Island, is really where like all the Jets fans are concentrated.
They'll be coming out of the woodwork. You'll suddenly meet fucking Jets fans in Connecticut, Jersey.
I've always been a Jets fan.
Jet Nation.
I saw a dude with a Geno Smith jersey on yesterday.
Little voice inside my head saying, don't look back. You can never look back. Yeah, so they're 2-0.
10 turnovers.
Wait, let's just talk about how crazy life is. The Jets are 2-0. Seattle's 0-2.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Nothing makes
sense. It's an unbettable league. That's what's happening. Luckily now, I have given up on football. This Sunday, I'll be going to a gay play somewhere. Or as you guys call it, Broadway.
Yes.
Have fun at the gay play.
I called up Ticketmaster. And I said, excuse me, how many gay plays are running? And they go, what do you mean, plays about New York? I go, no, plays where people wear makeup and they sing about shit and they jump around and stuff. They go, oh, we got nothing but gay plays then, sir. Joe, you might be standing in line for me getting those half-priced.
All right.
At the tickets booth.
That's what you're doing today after the show.
And some of the guys will even walk around, just try to get, like, so something, you're in the back of the line, like, look, I got two right now for you. They're on the floor for a gay play. I go, what's this play about? I don't know, some dudes are singing and stuff. I think one of them sad about something.
Sounds pretty gay.
And it all works out at the end.
We'll take it.
And a puppet comes on stage and starts gay singing, too. Ticketmaster.
I guess Seattle sucks because also Russell Wilson has the same exact problem as Luck. He has no front line. I mean, they're both getting just the shit sacked out.
That's why he's not an elite quarterback.
Yeah, and people were saying that. I mean, people were saying that up until the Super Bowl last year that Russell Wilson is the guy. It could have been a guy.
Yeah, I mean, we were all feeling that way. We said if he won the Super Bowl last year, he would have been considered the greatest quarterback in his timeline. Probably he would have had two in his first 3 years.
Yeah. In the playoffs in the first year.
Everybody was very proud of him. Everyone knew that he had Jesus on his side. I just think that the Pope's plane is floating now.
Wow. I think he's already landed by Pope magic.
Oh, yeah. Well, he has a portal through the space-time continuum. I don't know how he died. I guess Jesus did.
No.
Yeah. He can be all places at one time. And, I was watching the Pardon the Interruption show, and they were saying they were glad Aaron Rodgers slapped Seattle in the face with their belief system. And then they make this statement, well, look, God has more important things to worry about than a football game. Not necessarily if you believe in God. God would not sit around. If you actually have the faith, there's nothing too small or too large to pray about. So I now see PTI, completely an atheist show. I'll say this, communist atheist.
I like the idea of God just being too busy. Like he's all powerful, but he does get overwhelmed.
But he's going to say to you seriously now going to bring up a fucking bike to me? You don't ever watch what's going on in the Middle East? I got nothing but fucking problems.
Do you see me taking care of that? No.
And I care whether or not you have a spelling test tomorrow? Please, shut up at night. Don't sit there whining on to me. Do something for yourself. Study. Get an after-school job.
Yeah, what percentage of prayers are just bullshit? Of just people just asking for stuff?
See, that is the exact wrong thing of faith. That's the wrong thing. You're supposed to live with the Lord every second of the day, to be embraced and in touch every second, to live in his light and bliss, and be thankful for good times and bad times. Now, you're saying what percentage of prayers are bullshit? Frankly, all of them. If you want to be totally honest, if we're looking at the eternity in each direction, none of it is overly important. None of it.
Even life or death prayers.
I mean, if you sit around now and you think it's a big deal that Sparta got fucking attacked, it doesn't feel like shit to you. But at the time, I bet it was all anything people were talking about. I bet if they had an internet, fucking Persians would have fucking just been number one every single day. just spiking. Everyone keeps talking about the Persians and their massive army.
Hashtag Attack Sparta's trending.
Here's Hard Rock Johnny. Johnny, how you doing, buddy?
Hello, boys and girls.
Hey, how'd your coffee work out the other day?
Good.
He likes to do a thing. He keeps an eye on some of the youngsters and takes them out for a cup of joe.
Nice.
Talks to them about life.
He's like a mentor.
Yeah.
A big brother.
It's nice. Get caught up on the office gossip. It's good.
Like who? What have you heard?
No, I can't. That'd be gossiping.
Gossip. Gossip. We want gossip. Gossip.
Johnny used to run this Sirius XM gossip thing on Twitter. Give away little things that were going on.
Tidbits, I call them.
Now, by the way, why would she know the gossip? She's got to be lowest girl in the totem pole.
People just hear things, I guess. No, there wasn't a lot of gossip. It was just catching up.
Catching up on what? You're talking with a very young girl, Johnny. There's nothing
Brucey?
to catch up on.
Yeah, I'm big into what's going on in the Brucey world.
Well, we all are.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we're really, really... I'm very close with Brucey now. He actually calls me cousin. So
Wow.
there's a bond that we have.
Wow,
And he just doesn't do that with every single human on the planet.
No.
It's Cousin Club.
So where'd you guys go? Where'd you take her out to?
Oh, we just sat downstairs in that little
sweet.
where those tables are. I'm a big spender.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So Johnny, that's not what you didn't talk about gossip.
No.
What can we do for you, buddy?
Well, we were talking about football earlier, and I just wanted to voice my disgust with the NFL in general.
Why don't you just move over and become a Jets fan?
No.
Seems like it's working out for them right now.
It
Earl
really
is.
does.
Yeah.
Get a hold of Earl Douglas for me. He's got to be just on top of the world right now.
Mets, Jets.
Well, he's not a Mets fan.
Yeah, he's a Yankee guy.
He breaks. He goes Yankees, Mets.
Never happens that way.
It's
He's the only
weird.
one I know.
Yeah, it's like it's Yankees, Knicks, Rangers, Giants.
Well, you're either classic rock or you're new wave. That's all it is.
Yeah.
You're either into the new flashy boys or you go old school like Frank Gifford. The NFL. Well, you got what you always wanted, Johnny. Parity.
There's parity. I mean, look at the 0-2 teams. The list of the 0-2 teams is ridiculous.
Oh. And normally only 13% of those teams make the playoffs. But you got to think it's going to be larger than that this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't turn around and bet against Seattle. You know what I mean? And I'm not betting against the Colts. You know?
That would have been totally. I mean, it was like +7 for the Jets yesterday. That was the line. Even that. I mean,
Yeah,
you had to
7
think that they were going to be pissed. It was the home opener.
Yeah, but they were dead. Their fans were dead. Nobody was moving in that place. Nobody was pumped about it.
They're saying it's super ugly in the behind the scenes in Indy right now. It's like the team's fractured. The coach, they don't want the coach back. The GM,
because he had cancer.
Yes, they shun him for his cancer.
Get
They
rid
think
of
it
him.
might be contagious.
Yeah. He could end up making out with one of the players.
That's how cancer spreads. We all know that.
If I was in that league, I would just say, look, it's 2 weeks in. All of us are physically hurt.
It's too much.
It is. It's too much. Do we really have to tackle each other all the time? Is there another way?
And then you get guys like posting videos like Jason Pierre-Paul showing that he can lift weights now because he's only got 9 fingers. Stubby posted a video of himself lifting 225 pounds to show that he could now play football still.
You don't see that as bullying, where you make fun of a man with a birth defect.
No, he wasn't born that way. He actually
a late life birth defect.
He blew his own fingers off like an idiot. I don't have sympathy for people who blow their own fingers off playing with fireworks. You're told from a young age not to play with fireworks.
Yeah, but he's born again that way.
Well, what do? You do everything you told Johnny? Is that it?
Sometimes. I don't play with fireworks.
I think you end up with that fireworks with that young girl down the hall. I think she's going to end up pregnant. Speaking of which, there's big problems in that whole situation. Jimmy Mac's family, this was in the Daily News, up on the iBank today, angry with Tracy Morgan for not bringing up, I guess, Jimmy Mack at the Emmys.
Yeah.
Even though Jimmy Mack wouldn't have been invited to the Emmys.
True. But they're just looking for a shout out.
And that would have been it for them, you think?
Yeah, but I feel like they're also feeling that there's a little bit of difference in what they ended up getting out of Walmart, correct? I mean, the implication is that he got a lot more.
They haven't said that.
Right.
But there are people who said, well, but he's got a lot more because he would have earned a lot more.
Right.
You know?
You could make the case, obviously, that he would have earned
Well, by the way, they also settled. You know what I mean? Like, they had the right to take this to court, and they settled, and which meant the person they hired said, this is a good amount of money. If you guys, take care of this money, it'll last you a long time. This is a good deal. They didn't say, well, how much is Tracy getting? We want Tracy money.
His son tweeted out, Tracy Morgan ain't shit. That is all.
They also said that Tracy hasn't called over. But because when you get to be an adult, you're friends with somebody, doesn't necessarily mean that you're friends with their family, like their children.
Right. There's only probably a handful of friends that you would even know their family at all.
Like a lot of times if somebody I know dies, I don't necessarily call their family and go, hey, what can I do? Because, you feel like a weirdo doing that,
right.
I'll just put something up on my Facebook. Remembrance, and then I change my Facebook picture.
Nice picture of you and them together.
Yeah. And then I take over, I put my morning up as if it's even larger. Going through a lot of trouble right now, guys. Lost a very good friend.
You know what? You might want to put a black and white filter on that picture because I think that'll really give it a nice touch.
I put a black and white filter on everything, because I think it looks great.
Yeah.
And I just put a hashtag James Dean. Not the porn star. 50s guy. Look at the way it's spelled before you're saying, oh, I like to see James Dean abuse women too. You're the best around. Johnny, it's just it's a hideous year. How's your fantasy team doing?
Fantasy, I was 3-0, and I lost 5 suicide pools.
Wow.
Yeah. I think everybody did, though. It was like, I was in 2 of them that had over 600 people. They're down to 60.
How's Lauren down the hall doing in her suicide pools?
Don't know. We didn't get into that chat today.
Really?
Where are you taking her after today?
Nowhere. I'm at work. Not crabbing, not Sirius XM.
Well, she says she needs a ride to the mall. Johnny, we got to sit down and talk about our Thanksgiving show.
Yes, we do.
You giving out free food to the listeners?
Yes, absolutely.
Steak and lobster?
I think it's more of a Thanksgiving would be like turkey and stuffing, but
not my house. We like the steak and lobster.
Real class.
Surf or turf tea given.
Hold on. I got some big news for you right now. We got Jets fan number 1 on the line. Earl.
Yo.
How do I... this thing isn't letting me do them both at the same time.
I think it should work now.
There we go. All right, there you go. Johnny, can you be heard too?
I think so.
It's Jets versus Giants. Earl, first of all, congratulations.
Well, so far so good. Like this team actually looks like they have a philosophy.
Did you know this 2 weeks ago, though? Or are you as stunned as us?
I'm pleasantly surprised because I didn't know the offense was going to be this. It's okay. It's efficient. But again, they seem to have a vision, which is run first, low percentage passing. You got a big target with Brendan Marshall.
You got a badass defense.
Yeah, for real.
Very good defense. I mean, again, but a focused defense. How many turnovers have they had in the last 2 weeks?
7.
So I'm happy. I'm like, you know what? There's actual hope.
Let me ask you about something, Earl. You sent the iBang a not safe for work tits out Rose McGowan video. What was that all about?
Earl.
That didn't seem like Earl to me.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. The more the comments that she's had about Hollywood, about nudity. I mean, that was the more interesting angle. Like, the song's okay. It's not earth shattering. But, the fact she effectively quit acting to pursue music. So
no, all women do that at age 40. They effectively quit acting whether they decide to or not.
No choice.
Yeah. Because they're old and used up.
Yeah, so I thought that was an interesting, and again, she's kind of channeling a little Grace Jones, channeling a little Bjork. It's interesting.
There's a little bit of a Fever A thing going on there too.
Yeah, a little bit, but I just thought the story was as interesting as the clip.
I guess so.
Did you say
That's really out though, Earl.
Yeah.
Makes me love this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
It's looking pretty good, to be honest.
She looks like a hit. So, Earl, are you going all the way to the Super Bowl with your Jets this year? Is it 69 comeback?
I'm not ready to make that step yet because again, well, it's only 2 games in. Got to look at the schedule. I mean, right now the only team that looks like really lights out good is the Packers. They looked really good.
Yeah, they look really good. Steelers look really good too.
Yeah.
This could be a Packers Steelers, no Jets year.
And they've had their number 1 running back out for the first 2 games of this season.
It doesn't. Players don't matter, Chris. How many times I got to tell you? Uniforms, throwback uniforms, that's what matters.
Speaking of the uniforms, what's up with the unis this year?
Who can tell? We're either robots or we're fucking 1920s. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the Browns one looks. I'm like, who designed this? And worst of all, who said, "Okay, this looks great. Let the players wear this."
You got to go out and find yourself a black Jets hat, don't you?
Yeah, I'm like, it's funny. The off season's coming up with baseball, and I'm kind of in between hats anyway. So I'm like either Jets or Knicks. I'm not really sure which one I want to get.
You got plenty of time on Knicks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, treat yourself. Get both.
You ain't got that kind of hat money. It works for Johnny.
I'll give him a raise just so we can get both.
You can go to Lids?
Johnny's got over
always go to
7,000 employees underneath him.
Jesus.
Not that many.
7,000. That's amazing.
It's incredible.
Johnny, the Pope stopping by to see you?
Can't talk about it.
Smart.
Never know. He does like our chicken fingers.
What is the nuttiest rock and roll name that you have on your menu?
We don't have any rock and roll names.
You don't have any nutty names on your menu?
Nope. This isn't Flavor Town.
It's too bad.
Good.
That's my favorite.
I hate it. It
You
drives me insane. I hate a goofy name on a menu.
I love it. I'll order it right away.
It will deter me from ordering it.
Then you don't want to go to the Diners and Drives Kids thing because his is
it's all
just
crazy
flaming,
shit.
Exploding and flaming.
Donkey juice and donkey sauce.
You get donkey sauce. You get burn your dick off jalapenos.
That I
don't
will
have any
say.
of that.
Yeah. I like a good nutty name for that. And when you kids were little, I would always say that you wanted that one.
I know. And I remember, very distinctly remember going to a burger place when I was a kid and just ordering a cheeseburger because I was not going to say the dumb name. And then everyone kept, you mean the St. Peter's burger? Yes.
She wants the St. Peter's burger.
How was your St. Peter's burger? It's just a cheeseburger. There's nothing else about it. And I will not order like a moons over my hammy. I won't say it. I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it.
But it's moons over my hammy, like Miami.
Oh, okay. Now,
But with ham.
Yeah.
I will not.
Florida
Actually,
with ham.
The worst one I think is anytime somebody puts like a hungry man's breakfast, because what you're saying is no women are going to order this.
Unless you're a big butch broad, then help yourself.
I'll take a hungry man.
Would you order a Rudy Tooty fresh and fruity?
I will not. I will never.
She'll have the lumberjack.
I just want some pancakes
Grand
and
Slam.
sausage. Nope.
What? It's a baseball term. It's not cute or anything.
Grand Slam?
Yeah, the Grand Slam breakfast.
I guess it's not that embarrassing, but I still would rather not say it.
I don't blame you.
I'll have the funky chicken sandwich. No.
That's bad.
Why don't you have a ton of those, Johnny?
It's just not our thing. We're a restaurant, not a gimmicky place.
You have famous
Just
pants.
stop.
Have you forgotten the
Let's
pants?
just leave it at that.
Yeah. Does anybody ever ask to sit underneath a certain pair of pants? Well, Earl, you would know that. Earl.
Earl knows better than me, but some people.
Oh, all the time. Obviously, Beatle fans want to sit next to the Ringo drums. Metal fans want to sit next to Tony Iommi or Malcolm Young. Or, our New York room is all the punk stuff. So,
has anyone ever said to you, dude, why you put me under Backstreet? What are you trying to? What do I look like?
You just have to say they're back, all right?
Backstreet, back, mama. Fucking band is unbelievable.
So
they were the shit.
My favorite is the bassist.
Underrated.
It's pronounced bassist.
Billy writes, hey, Drunk Chris gets the Jets fan song. You're supposed to be the executive producer. He doesn't do that.
You have to play when they're losing.
Yeah, you only play it when they're losing, not when they're winning.
All right. Now I guess they're just the fucking biggest winners ever. They're never going to lose.
They seem like they're not. They beat the hell out of the fucking Colts.
Yeah.
Embarrassed them on national TV.
Spanked them in their home.
And weren't the Colts very heavily favored this year?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people haven't gone to the Super Bowl and winning.
If you listen to Monday Night Football, you heard, hey, man, I really like where these guys are coming from, man. I mean, they're smash mouth the whole way, man. Just going to run it up the middle. Gore's going to rip into that, man. And fumble. Wow. I'm not going to sit around and apologize for myself.
And Luck never gets picked either. And he, 3 picks?
Yeah, but look where he was throwing the ball like a fucking moron.
Really bad.
Queen Elizabeth said, no crepes of wrath for you, Gail?
No, thank you. I will not have the crepes of wrath.
I think you're making a mistake. They're delicious. Hey, Dave in Illinois.
Yes, would Gail have the 18-wheeler breakfast at a truck stop?
You go in there and you just get yourself a great big old 18-wheeler breakfast.
I will order each individual item.
Now, tell me what's on each of the wheels. I definitely would order the crepes of wrath. What about the Sergeant Pepperoni Pizza? Ed Rooney sent that in. Sounds delicious.
I will just order a pepperoni pizza.
At Guy Fieri's place, he has the Motley Q ribs.
Oh, holy shit, they're good.
Right?
Tastes like a hairband from the 80s.
Got a hairband in my mouth.
Chris Poser says, what about the chubby checker fingers?
Mm-mm. No, I'll just say.
Earl moves a lot of those. Earl will say, you got chubby fingers. Let me put you over here. Here's Jim in Iowa.
Hey, how's it going?
Cool.
Back in the 70s, Burger King had a ham sandwich called a Jumbo with a Y, and there was a guy in Fort Myers, Florida, refused to say the name, and so they would not serve him.
He would not say Yumbo.
Yeah, he refused. He wanted the ham sandwich, and they wouldn't give it to him.
I love that dude.
That dude is awesome, and I consider him a brother.
Well, right now he's selling a Hungry Man dinner for everybody. Can I get the Yumbo, please? And make it extra yummy.
Give me more Yumbo back there?
So Yumbo.
Red has a question for you, Gail. Go ahead, Red.
Gail, so when you order your drinks at a bar, for instance, there's Paralyzer, Sex on the Beach, whatever. Do you order it by that?
These are not drinks that I would drink, so it would never come up.
That's a really funny thing. Have you ever been at a bar when someone says, I'll have sex on the beach, and then someone else at the table goes, oh, me too. If they say sex on the beach, you could always do the, well, I would, but I don't want any sand in my crack.
Yeah.
White people. JP said, would you have the Schindler's Twist donut?
Okay. I'm going to find a way around that because that does sound delicious.
Earl, you said working for Johnny's a living hell, right?
No.
I saw Earl working a Hard Rock. He was like this. Oh, man, river, he just keeps rolling. He don't say nothing. Earl.
Yo.
Me and Eastside Dave are going to go do Anthony's show I know there's been a fallout between you guys, but you were invited to come as my black guest. I would love to have you there as my black guest.
As opposed to what else?
I don't know if you're familiar with Anthony's show, but you got to click off a lot of boxes. I had to show up with a DNA test.
What the purity test? What is this?
Randy says you can get a nice, cold, and refreshing Van Mara Sunday at Hard Rock. Let's go over here to Ryan. Ryan in Atlanta. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, I wanted to ask Gail if she wants her $5 shake, Amos and Andy, or Martin and Lewis.
Martin and Lewis.
Wait, there's a $5 shake? No vodka in it or anything?
No bourbon, no vodka? I don't know if it's worth $5, but it's pretty fucking good.
Now every shake is $5.
Yeah. What would they have to make that shake price now?
It would probably have to be $28.
Yeah.
That's a $28 shake. You can get it at Amos and Andy or Martin and Lewis. I actually think Amos and Andy were white, too. Earl, is that true? Amos and Andy white?
Yeah, they were. No, wait a minute. The radio guys were white.
Ah, all radio guys are white.
Mm-hmm.
And when they flipped over to TV, they had to hire black actors.
Brad said he's promoting a concert tomorrow night, and he has rock and roll names. Go ahead, Brad.
Hi, Benningtons. What an honor, privilege. Yeah. On Thursday night, up at the beautiful Genesee Theater in Waukegan, about an hour north of Chi-Town, I'm living my dream. I've been a lifelong Zappa fan, and I'm co-promoting a wonderful Zappa Play Zappa show. And that's on Thursday night at the Genesee Theater. And we're doing a VIP room that is all buffet style, with all Zappa related. Of course, we have Colony Vegetable, peaches, Melba, and regalia, lumpy gravy. Exactly.
Now, hey, by the way, and Earl, you would know this away. It seems there's a Zappa renaissance taking place right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's sort of a culmination of years of different projects that are all coming together at the same time. The 200 Motels movie hopefully will be released. A tape of Roxy concert from Frank and Dweezil's band. Guys, if you haven't seen them, I know there's a lot of closet Zappa freaks listening. They're really one of the finest road shows going right now. I couldn't think of a better way for a man to pay tribute to his father than the music that he's producing right now. He's not doing a lot of the cheesy stuff that the mainstream allowed to hear of Zappa music, like, Don't Eat the Yellow Snow, blah, blah, blah. We're going into some absolutely beautiful music and just incredible players. So thanks for giving me the time
sure,
to
bro.
plug this because it's Thursday night at the Genesee Theater in Waukegan, and all my Chicago Sirius XM friends, please come. And by the way, Ron and Gail, thank you so much. The last few months have been a blessing for all of us who've been listening to you for years and years. To hear you happy and involved, it's glorious. And I'm lucky enough to live in Chicago. In view, I can look out my window if there wasn't another skyscraper in front of me, but I live stone's throw away from the wonderful Molly's, the original Molly's. And Mike has been a good friend to me.
That's great.
Thank you, guys. Keep it up and come on up to the Genesee. See some wonderful Zappa Play Zappa on Thursday night.
It might be worth a road trip for us.
Zappa trip?
Yeah. I used to, when I first started doing radio, Russ Albums was the midday guy. And, we had a rock format, and that he had to stick to. But anytime the program director was in a meeting, he would sneak in a Zappa song. And there was this Zappa was not, we were kind of a hair stupid 80s rock format. It's still around to this very day. And he would actually have to stop down and go, Russ, I'm not fucking kidding. I'm going to be out for 30 minutes. You put fucking Zappa on. And that's it. I'm not kidding this time. All right, sure. And then, he would be gone and boom. Zappa would come on. We got to take a break here, Chris?
Yeah, we got to take a break.
We will take a break. Comedian stopping in with us. Greg Warren is going to be here. And a little later on in the show, Kelly Carlin is stopping by. A book she's written called A Carlin Home Companion. Growing Up with George, the only child of George Carlin. Kelly has written a book about what it's like at that time to have grown up with still probably one of the most controversial and also beloved figures in the history of comedy. Earl, let me know if you want to be my Black Plus One. I'd love to have you.
I will do, Ronnie B.
Yeah. By the way, Liz Sets Fire says Johnny could add a Gale Force Wings to the Hard Rock menu.
I would be honored. But I wouldn't order them.
All right. Brick Wall says he's throwing a Back to the Future 30th birthday party for his wife with Nobody Calls Me Chicken Wings. It's going to be... Cam wants to know, Gail, would you like to start your meals with a appetizer?
No, I don't.
They make you happy.
I'm losing my appetite right now.
Doc's Intoxicated said he agrees with Gail and he will just point to the menu. When you eat at a restaurant with pun names, you're at a bad restaurant. I'll have the Tom Patty melt. Del says, why did spanked in their own home not sound like a bad thing when Gail Ann said it? Florentine also agrees with you, Gail, and will not use weird food names.
Thank you. Thank you, Florentine.
But I do like weird metal names. Those are great. Man of War. Iron Maiden is my favorite band. All right, we'll be right back. Earl, talk to you later, buddy. Stop in sometime.
Totally. Absolutely.
And Johnny, sorry for cutting you off. I don't know what the hell happened here. This computer is being wonky today. We'll be right back. Bennington Show. Bennington. Greg Warren is here. He's performing at the Funny Bone in Columbus, Ohio, October 8th through the 11th. Funnybone.com for tickets. His album, Running Out of Time, is available on iTunes. That's a nice title for an album.
Yeah, I think it's... I did the math, I made some back of the napkin calculations.
Yeah.
And,
But it's acceptance. They always say that that phases of death, you go through these, and then finally acceptance.
Yeah.
You jumped, and that's a smart move.
You think so?
Yeah, you're already at acceptance.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in with, negotiating and dealing. Look, there's the Pope. Now, do we know if they're just showing him getting back on.
Okay.
I'm waiting for him to disembark in D.C.
He's coming here, right?
Yeah, he'll be here, then Philly. We just found out that they're stopping traffic for 4 days in New York City.
Really?
When this Pope was here. The last Pope, I saw him trying to catch a taxi. I mean, he was not popular. This guy, they're going balls out for. When I asked you if you were St. Louis and you said Southern Illinois.
Tommy's Southern Illinois. I'm St. Louis. Yeah.
Well, remember, BL, our friend, was in here the other day. For years, she told me East St. Louis. And I've known her for decades. And then this time she said, well, technically Southern Illinois. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Very, very different.
Yeah,
very different.
And yet, those are Cards fans. Those are people.
Oh, totally. Well, St. Louis had this AM radio station for years that had like a legendary reach. So the Cards have fans like 5 states, like Arkansas,
Yeah, but they also win.
They do win. Yeah. East St. Louis is that's a really, really tough area. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the word you're looking for. We can't say anymore during political correctness.
I understand what it wasn't always like that.
Oh, is that right?
My grandma's boyfriend used to call my grandma on Sunday morning like hungover and be like, I'm at some picnic in East St. Louis, Margaret. You got to come pick me up.
You got to come get me.
Yeah, it was. I met this lady one time. It's like when I first got my like first headshots done, and you know how you think you're you do what they tell you, like the photographer. She was a bitch, and she was just like, you got to go get your eyebrows done, like waxed. And I'm like, well, I guess if that's what you're supposed to do. You know? So I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, my dad would kill me if he knew this. And I'm nervous, and there's it's a black lady, and she's doing it, and I'm like really nervous. And so she's from East St. Louis, and I try to strike up like I'm like, I don't know anything about, I'm from, we used to buy beer over there, which was stupid. And I go, man, Miles Davis was from East St. Louis, and he was. And she goes, I knew Miles. Miles had a horn, and he could blow it. That was it. That was like, yeah. And I tried a couple times, like, yeah, I mean, people say he was like, one of the greatest albums ever. He had a horn and he could blow it. Like, she sort of oversimplified I think, some of his accomplishments.
I mean, she's never going to get on Wikipedia with that. You know what I mean? You got to give a little more.
You got to have some specificity. Yeah, you can't just go, he had a horn and he could blow it. It's not going to pass the test.
Now, clapped it. That was guitar.
He could strum it. I think that she breaks the world down into, like people who have a horn and they can blow it.
Yeah.
The people do not have a horn and cannot blow it.
Yeah.
Then there's the people who have a horn, cannot blow, or don't have a horn and cannot blow it. Then the very unfortunate group of the people who do not have a horn. But if they did, they could blow it. That's a sad situation.
Those are the people that never got the opportunity.
Yeah, I know, and that's a shame.
That's the worst part. Now you guys got a football team that's leaving you, right?
Yeah. I've been through this
definite
3 times, man.
Yeah,
I was a huge St. Louis Cardinal football fan. Like,
they moved what year?
Had to be late '80s. I'm guessing '88, but. Yeah, it was like,
I still call them St. Louis Cardinals all the time.
I loved them, man. I loved them. They weren't very good, but I loved them. And then my first job out of college, I was sent to Houston, and I became this Oiler fan, and they left. And now the Rams are leaving.
They're done.
They're done, man.
Yeah.
It's
heartbraking to do to people.
It's awful. It is, man. It's made me not even really an NFL fan anymore. I'm a big, baseball fan. And
I remember when I was doing radio in Tampa, they came very close to getting the White Sox. The White Sox were moving to Tampa Bay.
Really?
And a guy that I did radio with, Bob Lassiter, goes on, and he's like, shame on you people. Shame on this community. He goes, there's some kid right now. And I was like all excited about, finally getting a ball team. And I'm like, he's fucking right.
He is, yeah.
How can you take someone else's team? And from that point on, I'm just like, any team that move. Like, there's teams that don't belong places. Like, to me, the South never should have hockey. I feel worse for everything that's going. Like, Canada doesn't really even have many cities that have their national sport. But, they follow hockey no matter how small it is. But they should have hockey teams.
Yeah.
That's theirs. Yeah. That belongs to them. But, sports is just so negative and fucking awful these days,
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big college wrestling fan. So that's like sort of pure still.
Well, not far from where I grew up, basically the Lehigh Valley, high school wrestling there is insane. They get these kids grow up thinking about like real wrestling, not the way you guys know wrestling with the Iron Sheik and fucking whoever these guys
no
are.
elbow drops.
The kind of wrestling that's
legally.
Yeah. And they're mad for it. They're mad for it. Iowa is a very gigantic wrestling state.
Penn State now is sort of dominant. Ohio State won the last one.
Yeah.
My team, I wrestled at Missouri. That's
is that right?
Yeah. But like you were saying, I mean, Pennsylvania has like 13 Division I wrestling schools.
Yeah.
These schools that you would like Lehigh, East Stroudsburg and Slippery Rock and all these.
Yeah,
places.
they just grew up crazy about it. Just crazy about it.
And now Penn State is, they're dominant.
And it's all because it's homegrown there, right? It's
yeah.
There was a documentary done out of Washington, and the Guardian of the Galaxy was a wrestler, so he went back to his old high school. And this team went on and won the Washington State Championship. But when they went to Pennsylvania for a tournament, all the kids got fucking crushed.
Yeah.
Every one of them. And they were just like, well, this will be good for us. Yeah. This will be good for us. Then the coach took them into New York City, and two of the kids got lost. And where they were Fifth Avenue instead of at 30 Route. The kid was like, hey, man, I just want to explore the city. You know, I wish I could have just kept going farther. I'm like, you could have fucking thrown a rock at the other kids. You assholes.
Yeah. I mean, and getting lost in the city now is not really
it's a grid.
It's not like those films in the, like the 80s or the 70s.
Oh, no.
Really
You're safe.
Bad.
Yeah. I remember, though, in the 80s, you could be walking down Broadway, make a right, go about 15 feet, and, like, literally stop. And that neighborhood is, like, right over here.
Yeah.
Hell's Kitchen is a nice, but then you just want, where the fuck did I go? And you just, like, literally walking backwards.
Yeah.
So you could keep an eye on everyone.
I did that in, like, 80, probably, I guess it was 86.
Yeah.
I was, my first year of college, I went to West Point, and I only went for a year, but we had our first leave. Like, we got to leave for a couple of days. And me and my buddy, Rod Decker, his aunt was in Jersey, and he got her car, and Rod was from like small town Iowa. And I mean, I'm not from the city, but my dad's from the East Coast. I kind of knew the score a little bit. And I was like, well, Rod, we got to have a plan. He goes, let's just cruise the main drag, man. Let's just cruise the main drag and see what's going on.
This ain't Daytona, dude.
Yeah. So we like literally, I mean, there was a situation where I guess we started talking to some guy in the street, and we just were entertained by it. And we walked another 15 feet, and like 3 cop cars pulled up to us, and like, what do you guys do? I mean,
right.
I guess they assumed that we were buying drugs from her or whatever. We were so green. We had
and they
no
would
idea.
also just tell you, hey, dude, you got to get out. You don't want to. They would just like be nice enough, like, no, turn it around. You're going to just start heading back towards those lights. And I'm like, when I'll see anything from the 80s in New York, I'm like, what kept drawing me? Well, this looks terrible.
Yeah,
right?
it really
you know
was.
What I mean?
Gotta live there.
Yeah, gotta be. The energy is amazing. But the weird thing, New Yorkers really miss that era.
They do.
Yeah, because you don't have to be tough to live in New York. You need to be rich. You know what I mean? Like, I guess it's tough on a financial way. You know what I mean? But a lot of those dudes, like Willem Dafoe was in here, and he lived free in an apartment that he broke into in Soho.
It's ridiculous.
Throughout the 70s and 80s.
Like a squatter guy?
Yeah,
Like,
he just
really?
set it up. Now, you had to be able to defend that like it was the Old West, but he lived free. And Soho was basically empty, where nobody was there. Now it's the biggest stores in the world. We're not talking an extreme amount of time ago, you know?
I'm in awe of that. Just because, I mean, I moved here from St. Louis like 3 years ago, and I still think it's pretty tough.
Do you really?
Yeah. I mean, not like.
What part of town you live in?
I live in Astoria.
Uh-huh.
It's just very, it's Greek neighborhood.
First of all, it's a comedy town, too.
Yeah, a lot of comics.
Chris was born and raised. You lived in the same apartment you were born into?
Yep. Yeah, because I got it's rent stabilized, so I was able to keep it.
Yeah.
Wow. So, yeah, that's nice.
In Astoria?
In Astoria,
Yeah,
in
it's
Astoria.
great.
Yeah.
My landlords, man, I never really had a landlord. You know, this guy is like, he's Greek, and he's just the slipperiest guy. This is my theory on Greece, and I don't want to offend anybody, but okay. So I think there's 2 professions there in Greece as a young man. You can either you work in the olive oil fields, or you're a landlord. Okay.
Yeah.
And the way they determine this is like at some point in your life, you're a young man. They come to you and say, "Hey, listen, you got to start working today. We're going to put you to work in the olive oil fields." And if the kid goes, how about tomorrow? They say, you're going to be a landlord. Like, this is what you were meant to be a landlord. Yeah. Slippery.
Yeah. They have a hell of a lot of diners, too. I mean, they're
good ones. Yeah.
They have taken over the diner field. It belongs to them.
They know what they're doing in there.
I guess. I mean, to me, they're all the same diner wherever you go. Just a giant fucking menu.
And there's eight different guys that wait on you, and they have no accountability because you couldn't pick them out.
Right.
Like which guy is your guy? You know, it's a team system. I hate the team system. Like I want a guy. Like if something goes wrong, it's on you. But it's that they have this team thing,
right?
You know, and it's like I don't know. I like the days back when they had one waiter. He would wait on you. He'd take care of you. He'd take your order. He'd check on you. He'd bring you the bill. And that was it. Now there's a team of people that wait.
No, you're right about that. It wasn't that long ago, too. I was in, I ordered a refill on my iced tea. 10 minutes go by, then finally a guy comes by and just lays some pickles in front of me. And I'm like, dude, is this because we're out of iced tea? Or you think this is iced tea? Or this just has nothing to do?
This is unrelated.
I'm a far-fetched replacement, man. They're going, that's several.
Send them some pickles.
Yeah, yeah. And
I'm just pickle guy.
The guy that like takes your order, you don't ever see him again half the time. Where's Chuck? Chuck doesn't work here anymore. No, wait a minute.
Or we'll get offended. You know, I'm not your waiter, but you do work here.
Yeah. Oh, that.
Yeah.
I lost it one time. I was on the road for a stretch, too long of a stretch, and I was losing it. And I'm not proud of it, but I was at a Cracker Barrel somewhere.
Sure.
You know, I like them. And they weren't refilling my iced tea, man. So I called the 1-800 number, like the thing that, you know, like on all the receipts, like, you know, the comment line or whatever. And I'm like this crazed person. I'm like, man, the guys aren't filling my iced teas, man. And there's people just walking by and they're not my waiter, but they can see. I mean, remember when you guys had bus boys and then they were like kind of patronizing me a little bit, like, oh, okay, sir. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I'm the crazy person. I'm the idiot. Yeah.
Well, you know, this would be a great new game show: is you blindfold someone and you put him in a Cracker Barrel, and he has to guess what city he's in. Because when you're down south and you're in a Cracker Barrel, there's a lot of rednecks and large people. But when you're outside of Syracuse, New York, there's a lot of rednecks and large people.
Where did they come from?
Everyone looks the same. Outside of Boston, you could be in Toronto, Cracker Barrel, doesn't matter. And everyone's the same. And as they're leaving and they start to go through shit, they act like they've never been in a Cracker Barrel before.
Oh, but that down-homey, kitschy decor keeps you coming back.
They have a history that never existed. That's it. There's a plant that makes the fucking boat paddles and pictures that go into all the Cracker Barrels. These aren't even like someone's actual history. It's a made-up history. But they're all like, look, root beer barrels. And you're like, they're in every... Don't act like you haven't seen them since 1965. You haven't seen them since the last Cracker Barrel you were in.
And they were manufactured last week.
There's nothing about that is it's Disney. It's like you're in a Disney restaurant. There's no connection to actual Southern cooking. Yet, I've never walked into an empty Cracker Barrel in my life. They're fucking packed,
man. And
you're like, Jesus Christ, this place.
Yeah.
Don't they sell chairs too?
Yeah,
like a rocking chair.
Chairs out
man.
Never seen someone buy one though. I've never seen someone with a rocking
I'd like
chair.
one if I got to a point where, you know, like I had my own place. I'd like to have one.
Couple Cracker Barrels.
Though with that?
No, like on a porch
outside.
or something.
Okay.
Yeah, they're very comfortable.
Well, people do sit on them while they're waiting.
I do.
Yeah, while they're waiting, and you play giant checkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't exactly say to yourself, so how much for 4 of these?
What do one of these babies run you?
What do you guess?
I'm going to say 60 without even knowing.
No, I bet they're like a wooden rocking chair. I would say it's like 150 too.
But you have a feeling that a guy's making these in his home somewhere.
No, not necessarily, but I still think that they will be. It's
Great,
going to be.
What's your price? $99. So you said 150. I got it 60. Chris, what are they?
$200.
$200? Wow.
200 a share.
I knew it.
Gail, you're the closest. You move on.
That's do you think that they're handmade?
They better now at $200.
$200, man.
They also have another one that's $400 that they sell.
What's it got?
Is this this is this one?
Yeah, that's a little fancier model, but
is that the 400 that we're looking at right there?
Yeah, it's the Adirondack.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay,
that's
real
definitely
class.
the one that I would want out of all of them.
Yeah.
They have that mahogany. What do they got going there? cherry.
It's all weather.
You ever seen the Bob Evans have tried to sort of replicate the country store aspect, but it's just like 3 shelves. It's pathetic.
Bob Evans was around before them. If they really wanted that market, they had their shot at it.
Yeah.
They actually bought all that stuff from Cracker Barrel.
Yeah. They diversified into sausage.
But
it's a bad idea.
Bob Evans is the only place I ever set back eggs in my life, and I had to say, this is your number one thing. To not be able to pull off over easy eggs
behind
is just stunning to me. It's just stunning.
Are we talking over or undercooked here?
All right, these Cracker Barrels, they shock me. Anna, what's up, darling?
Hi, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
So I'm so embarrassed that I know the answer to this question.
Yeah.
But I was just at a Cracker Barrel last week with my son. I was going from Annapolis to the Finger Lakes, where my parents live.
That's a long ride.
And, it's about 6 hours. It's not bad. But
bad.
I had my 2-year-old with me, so Cracker Barrel's great just because they have the peg game at the table where he can play the game and he can do all that. But anyway, I walked in, so the rocking chairs are $125.99. And those were the ones on sale.
Okay.
And they weren't as fancy. So Gail hit it. But I think they're like $150 for the ones that are like fancier.
I don't know. I mean, the we're looking at some large figures here, but I am guaranteeing there is no one guy who's making these. These things are mass produced.
Oh, maybe hand assembled.
A big factory. A big stack of them at a time.
Yeah, and they're also making boat paddles and other things that they put up on the walls.
Yeah.
Little tins.
The best part was that there was a couple, just like any couple you'd see at any Cracker Barrel, and this one was in like York, Pennsylvania, and they were just like what you'd see outside Mississippi.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't know where you are. You do not know when you're in a Cracker Barrel.
They have the Christmas stuff out already at the Cracker Barrel. And it's like the singing Santa and like the elf that rides the bicycle, like horrible Christmas stuff. And there was an older couple that sat down next to me and they placed their order without even looking at the menu. And the woman said, "Oh, I see they have their Christmas stuff on. I'm going to go look and just see." And he goes, "Don't buy anything." He wouldn't let her take her purse because he knew she was going to go nuts on the Christmas decorations. It's a gift shop.
It's a really odd experience. We were in there once as a family because we were heading down for Thanksgiving dinner, and a trucker came in who had a big kind of Raleigh fingers mustache, and a dude sitting next to us was so excited, and he said to his wife, "Oh, mother, look at that wonderful mustache." It's a true story.
This is dead serious. Called his broad mother and said, "What a wonderful mustache. Mother, look at her mustache." Seriously.
And then what did I start doing immediately?
What?
Straight into fucking acting like I cared about the mustache. Doing the same bit. So immediately I started saying,
"Mother, look at that mustache. That's a wonderful mustache."
And my kids were crawling under the table and they're like, "Stop it, seriously." "Oh, mother, that mustache." And he got his fucking picture taken next to the dude was just like, "Yup, I got a mustache." He didn't give a shit. This dude is acting like he had been taking the fucking Universal Pictures. It was ridiculous.
It was so bad.
You know how they play like that old timey music in the restrooms or whatever in there? Yeah. I was in there one time and I'm at the urinal and this old guy shuffles in, man. He's like, and it's, how sometimes they're talking to, you don't know if they're talking to you or just anybody that'll listen or just, but he goes, "I don't like this music. I never did like it. And I'm tired of listening to it." And I kind of looked over and I'm like, I think, sir, I'm not the program director at Cracker Barrel Radio here. Like, I don't know what you expect me to do for it.
You should honestly said Vic Henley. Easy, dude. Easy.
Yeah. I love that guy. I should have messed with him and be like, "Well, sir, I'm sorry, but here's the bad news. They're going to start playing it in your house." They're piping. "I won't stand for it. Nothing you can do about it, sir. That's just the way."
They sell that music too. I mean, that they basically have a record company.
$150.
Yeah, everything we have here is $150.
Yeah. I'm surprised that lady's. I'm impressed the 2-year-old kid was playing that peg game. I've never done well at that thing ever.
Well, what is one? I mean, is that the only time that feels satisfied? Because I hit like a 2 or 3.
2 or 3 is pretty good.
Yeah, and I feel good about
2
myself.
or 3 is good.
But it's even a funner game to see how many you can leave. Like if you can leave like 6 or 7, you're like, well, this is amazing. Most people couldn't leave this many. Here's Quinn in Wisconsin.
How's it going, guys?
Hey. What can we do for you? You're on the air.
Oh, yeah, just telling you guys, they actually have a team that goes out to, like, fleet farms and yard sales and shit like that collects, like, all these antique things. And they actually have a warehouse that, like, when you're a manager, they take you to this place in Tennessee. And it feels like it's the size of the fucking storage unit at the Raiders of the Lost Ark, at the very end of the movie where they're walking
There's a bunch
through.
of tchotchkes in there.
Dude, it's huge. I mean, they have phones along phones and swords and shotguns and all kinds of shit.
So
but
you worked for Cracker Barrel?
I used to, yeah.
How far did you make it?
Well, I was one of the managers.
Well, what kind of dough are we talking about when you run your own Cracker Barrel? What's a cheddar like?
Bank.
Well,
the dough rate.
You a ball or what?
When you're GM, you can hit 6 digits.
Really?
Damn.
Yeah.
How many hours you work in a week for that?
They never stop.
Oh, dude, like 60 or 70. It's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you get into a good market like in Tennessee and the southern area, you're raking it in, man.
So are you saying you get to go through there and pick your own tchotchkes? Like you have to pick the flair for your restaurant?
Well, when they open a brand new one, the opening GM actually gets to go in and handpick all that shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be awful? You just go into some Cracker Barrel in some weird town, you see a picture of your grandmother up there.
Hey! Well, no. Some people do that. We had one person go, "You know what? That's my grandpa. Can I have that picture?" Like, are you shitting me?
No.
Yeah,
so you
fucking
can't have
take it. You have to unscrew it off the wall and shit. I was like, really?
Everything there is.
Well, they have a lot of like really old timey pictures and stuff like that, and they go,
old-timey.
Is that the founder? Yeah, the founder was from 1786. You moron. I mean, it's like. People ask the dumbest shit when they go in
The
there.
founders from, Wall Street. The whole thing is just complete hype.
Yeah.
Craig, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Ron, I just retired from the military last year, so
Can I just say this? Thank you for your service, sir. No one ever says that. You're the real heroes. Well, actors, and then you guys.
I do expect a cup of coffee to come along with that.
You know what? Your money's no good here. Let me buy you a drink right now.
Fantastic. Yeah. No, so actually, Cracker Barrels are hugely popular with people in the military. You kind of move around a lot, you get that same thing. And so one of the weirdest experiences amongst all the deployments I did, getting rocket attacks and all that kind of stuff over in Afghanistan was I was in a Cracker Barrel in New Jersey, and I was kind of with the same people I'd been in my career with, and looking around, and I, honest to God, for about a minute or so, had no idea what state, what assignment it was.
No, it's crazy.
Where it was, it was surreal. It was. But
I bet if you walk in there in uniform, it's like when Jerry Garcia used to walk through the parking lot. People just losing their shit. Yeah, I used to think, because they used to be down south, and I used to think, man, these southern people or whatever. But you could be on a Cracker Barrel outside of the UN, 30 feet from the UN, and it looks the same as if you're in West Virginia or Tennessee. It doesn't matter. The same crew. And I don't know if I've ever ordered dinner there. I don't know what happens for that.
I guess steaks.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I'm just breakfasting every chance I get.
Yeah, I mean, it's chicken. There's chicken.
I've been there at breakfast seeing people order dinner.
Yeah.
Chicken fried steak, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be big there.
I know one thing, Chris, and we were talking about you because we were down south, but people were smoking. People were just having a smoke. I think we were in Louisiana at the time, and I'm like, Chris Stanley would move here tomorrow.
Yeah.
You would smoke during the meal, would you not?
I have. Like, I went down to New Orleans once, and I was smoking during the and my guy's like, put the fucking cigarette out. We're eating dinner. But we can't do this in New York. I'm getting them in now. I'm trying to live here.
That's amazing, though.
It blew my mind. I was smoking in an elevator. It was fucking nuts.
Anyone fucking complains about their health, you're like, you're eating in a fucking Cracker Barrel.
Come on.
You're lucky if you got 3 months after this. Greg Warren sitting in with us, performing at the Funny Bone in Columbus, Ohio. October 8th through the 11th, and his album Running Out of Time available on iTunes. Are we playing it here on Raw Dog yet?
Yeah. I think Raw Dog does play a little bit of it. Yeah.
We'll make sure that we promote that a little more. And Chris, you put up something on the iBang today that seems to have everybody in Buffalo talking.
That's right. This picture came out from...
Right. That's right, Ron.
That's right, Ron.
Everyone's talking about it. This Buffalo Bills fan at the game on Sunday was seemingly fingering his, I'm going to guess, girlfriend's ass in this picture.
All right. Okay, I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
Is this pretty gross? Sure. Is this maybe not appropriate for public?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But I don't think he's actually in. I don't think...
You don't think he got it in? You think he's on the outside?
I agree with
palming?
No.
You palming?
Yeah, I think he's palming the crack. But there's no way at that angle I can see his wrist that his
You gotta
finger
bend
is
a
in.
little bit, yeah.
If you were going in, your wrist would be way down.
That's a good call.
And it's like baseball. There, I mean, even if he was, there's not enough data from that picture
All right,
to
that's
say.
a good point. Yeah,
that
we don't
you can't-
have the camera angles that we need.
You can't
to
say
change
that
the
this
on
happened.
field.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right there, I can see the curve of his thumb. And there's no way, unless he has the world's longest fingers.
Or she might have a particularly high asshole.
That's what I...
You know what?
Thank you.
I didn't think about that. I did not
this
think about
freak might just have a really high... Now, first of all, he didn't put this picture up. Someone else did, right?
Yeah, someone found this and then put it online and exposed him.
This seems wrong, though, to do. This seems like the person taking that picture... and by the way, the mullet has never left Buffalo. It's fantastic.
It's looking good.
Still strong.
But it seems like it's in the way of their privacy.
This is a moment just between them.
Yeah.
However, they like to spend time together while watching football.
And a lot of times,
I think it's a tender moment. I think it's a It's a
Not
nice,
for long.
it's a
you know,
nice
I mean,
moment.
they're playing the Patriots. I'm sure they were amped up. You want to, slow it down a little bit. So Greg says no asshole is being penetrated. Gail says the same. What about you, Chris?
I say there's an asshole being penetrated.
Now, let me ask you.
Yeah.
You have information, or you just want to believe that?
All right, A, I do want to believe it.
Yeah.
B, I believe that this guy's got a finger against the asshole pushing in.
Listen, that is clearly on the top of the crack, if best. At best.
That's where his palm is.
Yes, exactly.
It could be on her right cheek, actually. It really could. It could be just a very tender, nice moment between a girl and a guy at a football game.
He's right down the middle. What other reason would he be that deep into the ass?
Well,
Listen, he's deep. I'll give you that. He's past what's appropriate for outside contact. I agree
There's some
with that.
scientists that could probably see by the structure of his elbow, and that could say
Gail's
triangulate how old or how long his fingers are. You know,
Gail made a very good case that he doesn't even have the full angle that you're going to need for that. Joey Jojo, what's your vote on this?
I don't think it's in the actual butthole.
Right.
I think the fingers are down in the crack, and
He's
there's
spreading
still
crack, probably.
He's spreading crack, and they would still smell afterwards.
I hope not.
Who knows, really?
I
He
hope
looks
not.
clean to me.
Yeah, man. If
Very.
she took a morning shower, you're not going to get any smell from crack.
Looks fresh.
Unless she's been tailgating for 9 hours before the game.
And quite frankly, you can go to the bung and come out just as fresh as a daisy. This is the lady we're talking about, not a disgusting, lazy guy wiper. All right, I'm going to say this. I'm going to side with the non-people because Gail made a case for her side, and you made no other case other than your own dirty hope and wish.
Look at the hand. I'm saying the ring finger is in the ass.
I know it's all smoke. You have no data. You have no facts, man. You're just
Line your hand
conjecture.
up at the same angle.
Stand up right now.
All right, okay.
And put your hand basically on your tailbone.
Yes. All right.
And you're not reaching with any of the fingers.
There's no way you're in.
You're not.
Look at what you'd have
And you're
to
leaned
do.
over and she isn't. You've got to. She's actually leaning back.
All right.
He's
Now-
sitting down too, man.
All right, let me just put my hand in my
The
ass.
hand dexterity alone. That
I just noticed something here. I don't even know which dude's hand that is. Is that the guy with the black mark over his head, or is it the is the Muppet guy from behind.
Here's where you're confused. If you notice the arm there's two different color arms.
Yeah.
There's a person in the foreground who is not involved with the butt crack at all. His head, otherwise his head would be very small and he would have a bit of a hunchback.
Okay.
So I don't think even that hair, the long hairs are his. That's he's got. He's got, yes.
So there's all kinds of people in this.
Everybody.
This is ridiculous.
Oh, wait, I just saw a rabbit in there, too. If you just tilt your head
See, I see an
45
old
degrees.
woman. I see an old woman.
Well, you mean the lamp? Oh, wait, that is an old, it's like an old woman's face there.
In
Thought
profile,
it was a lamp.
yeah.
This is trickier than the Zapruder film, I'll tell you.
I didn't see the end of that.
Please don't.
What time does he end up getting there in the end of the Zapruder film? I just watched the beginning. It looks like he was traveling along. His wife with him. It looked nice. Then what happened? What time did he arrive and give his speech?
Never shut up.
I hate to break this to you.
That's another reason why I'll never root for the Cowboys no matter what happens.
Because they didn't take care of our
Because they
president.
killed JFK down there. The fans killed JFK, I believe. All right, so Chris, you got literally your ass handed to you on this.
Yes.
And this was something you gave, right?
Yeah.
And just read what you put up.
Just how deep is this Bills fan's hand down this girl's pants?
That's what you write.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Just how deep? I can tell you. Somewhat deep.
And what is your last line of
Okay.
what you put together?
If it was actually fingering her ass, it had to be the best part of his day after what the Patriots did to the Bills.
This is so horrific. It's just horrific.
Article that says fingering her ass.
Well, that's the whole point of it, isn't it? She's standing up. I think he's going right for it.
All right, there's a couple of people saying that's what I call a Cuban palm, or is it it's hard to say this, but we did this in our school, where, especially with the Pope in town, I shouldn't say it, but we go like this when we were standing in line, Palm Sunday, and put our palms on the girls' asses.
Nice.
Now, I found that years later, sexual assault. We were fourth graders doing a sexual assault.
Was it really?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
yes. And now they'll take children and try them as adults.
You're doing time,
we
kid.
thought of it as, recess fun. All right, some other people are writing, what if he was wearing a Tiny Bill's number one finger? A little foam finger.
Okay.
Jay says the maneuver is called a buffalo flea flicker. Doc says, can we add resident expert on public fingering to Gail's job title?
Thank you.
You thought about
I'm happy
this
to have it.
way more than I expected, Gail. But you did shut down the prosecution. You would have been able to get this guy off. Literally.
And how?
Yeah, Charlie.
Bonnie B, we're burying the lead. This guy is batting way out of his league. This girl looks way too hot for him.
I don't know. I see her in a hunting cap. I mean, I'm not even sure it's a chick.
No, it's
from
more
this
of like
angle.
one of those Janet Jackson Rhythm Nation caps, actually, I think is what it is. It's a.
I like that a man can decide how attractive a woman is. Like,
yeah,
that's definitely a hot woman because I want it to be in my mind.
Right.
Well, no, I mean, she looks good it would have to be like a surprise, like in the cartoons when, remember Bugs Bunny would see that really attractive, and then she'd turn around and she had glasses, so she was ugly.
Usually a big nose.
I would actually, I'd call her a Buffalo 9 right now because normally if you're hot, you get out of Buffalo. There's an excuse.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no matter who you are, if you're a female still in Buffalo, the guys are digging you.
But I will agree with him because no matter what she looks like when she turns around, it's got to be better than what's going on with Buttfinger.
He's got a nice tan on his hands.
Yeah, sure. He's got a trucker's tan there, hanging it out the window. Fanatic wants to know how many of us palmed our own ass during that. Just trying to see
100%.
And that also shut you down, Chris.
Yeah.
You didn't even get close.
No, I did not. But then again, I'm
they
not
would have
this
made you
woman.
look foolish in the courtroom with that one.
But I was using my own hand. This guy's got angles to go. Like, and
he's not using the angle, dude.
No.
If anything, that weakens your argument.
Yeah.
I still think there's a ring finger pressing
That
against
does
it.
you no good to say I think it,
I
not be
like
able
the
to
bra
prove it.
straps. I think it's sexy.
That's a sling. That's an arm sling.
You know what?
But I love the fact that she's staying cool with it. She's not being like, "Hey,
She
stop
likes it.
fingering my ass." I mean, at the very least, he's spreading cheek, and you got to give him full fucking credit for that.
I mean, definitely.
Yeah.
He's bold. That's
oh,
for
he's
sure.
a bold one. He's a bold one. They're on their way this year. That team's got spirit. Chris says in Buffalo, that's called the old Thurman Thomas 2-point conversion.
It's a pretty good seats too. If I'm looking
Oh
at it from
yeah.
that angle.
Well, that's about as far back as you can get in Buffalo now. It's not a. It's you've got to just see the stadium from the outside of Buffalo, and you go, "What the fuck?" I mean, it feels like you've driven up into 1965.
Really?
I think that's when it was built. I don't think that there's any. I'm not even sure if there's an owner's box in that stadium. There's like a press box.
That's great.
Far away, but there's, they don't have the modern bullshit stuff for rich people.
That's awesome.
Cajun Jack says to you, Chris, face it, like Scott Norwood's kick, it's just not in. Andre said, give the
Figures
guy,
out.
I think we should give the guy a break because his head was clearly run over by a lawnmower. Jerry from Buffalo said they're Bills fan. They were likely drinking since 9 a.m. and didn't necessarily know each other before the game started. That's so funny. All right, Stupid said no penetration, but he definitely is pushing the doorbell. So he's trying to get in. He's being classy about it.
He's making a run.
I really was pulling for the Bills this year. You saw that, the Patriots. Well, actually, they didn't. They kept it somewhat close.
High scoring
Give it up.
game, right?
Yeah, really high scoring.
Even
game.
after the first series, when Buffalo scored the touchdown, everyone was freaking out, thinking it's still going. This is still happening.
I believe the Bills are going to the playoffs this year, and then who knows?
10-6.
Anything can happen once you get in, right?
They won week 1, didn't they?
Yeah, they won big.
Yeah,
they beat somebody good too, right?
They beat the Colts.
Oh yeah, we thought they were good. God damn it!
Smoke and mirrors.
They only beat the Colts. The Jets winning that game was the worst thing that happened to Rex Ryan.
Yeah, it made him look like a freaking.
Because I remember being amazed.
Yeah,
look at the Bills.
They're taking care of Luck, Andrew Luck. The guy's going to be the greatest quarterback for the next 10 years. Whatever, bum with a shitty beard.
What are you gonna do? That's the game. That's the game you fell in love with at a young age. And you wrote. Let me see your headline that you wrote.
Yeah.
How deep is this Bills fan's hand down the girl's pants?
Yeah. Want to grab people, So like, I wonder how deep.
Are you clickbait with that?
I'm going to click on that to see how deep that hand is. How deep could it be?
I could not pass that up.
Thank you.
The punctuation's a little off, but yeah,
It happens.
Yeah. A lot of capitalization too, man.
Yeah, he's
Everything.
big on that.
Yeah.
Love it. Love a
But
capital letter.
nobody agreed with you. Not one person has swung around and said, "Yeah,
No.
Stanley's right."
I stand strong with my.
Yeah.
The thing is,
assessment.
so does he, which is impressive. He sticks to his.
G-Man said, "Easily the only hole the Bills hit all day." JP said, "I said laces out." Doing a
Yeah,
Jim
sure.
Carrey callback.
Right.
Nice little Jim Carrey callback. Well, Chris, you got the clickbait of the day. There's no doubt about it. It'll go to number one.
I'll take that.
But nobody agreed with you.
No.
Gotta find this Bills fan. Just ask him. The series out there
All
somewhere.
right, Adam wrote this. Hello, six-fingered man. My name is Indigo Montoya. Please take your hand out of my mother's pants. All right, Steve said this. I've heard for rooting for a team, but not rooting through an asshole for a team. My buddy Chuck from North Carolina wants to jump in on this. He always has a different way of looking at stuff. What's up, Chuck?
Hey, Ronnie, what? Two things bother me. One thing, after that guy pulled his hands out of her ass, he ain't gonna be eating nothing from the concession stand.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And two, how the hell could you watch a damn ball game with somebody got their finger in your ass? I don't know much about that, but that can't be comfortable.
I had another thing, but it would help Chris's case, and I
Yeah.
can't help him if he doesn't care. But what if He's got a chicken wing at the other end of that hand,
shit.
and he's dipping. He's going for a dip.
I could live in a world that maybe that's happening, but it's not a finger.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
All right, Ronnie, take care, man.
All right, peace. All right, Greg wrote this. Wow, Big J. Okerson totally went all in on this lucky fan. He also gave up on the Eagles way too quickly. Buttfinger, is that the next Bond film? I don't know. People loved it.
Buttfinger.
All right, we got to go here. Greg, so great to meet you, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm
Thanks for having me in.
to see you. We'll have you back in here again real soon. Chris Stanley, plug away for Greg.
Greg Warren's performing at the Funny Bone in Columbus, Ohio, October 8th through 11th. Go to funnybone.com for tickets. And Greg's album, Running Out of Time, is available on iTunes. And go to gregwarrencomedy.com for all additional dates. And on Twitter, it's at Greg Warren.
Greg Warren, great to see you. We'll be right back. Bennington.
This is Bennington on Raw Dog 99, Sirius XM's Comedy Club.
You know, here's the problem with dinner. You're either overpaying at some restaurant or spending half your life preparing something at home. Blue Apron has changed that. Blue Apron delivers farm fresh ingredients and step-by-step recipes to your home so you can create incredible meals without going to the store.
For less than $9 per meal, Blue Apron sends you fresh ingredients perfectly proportioned. Blue Apron is making cooking delicious meals really easy and really fun. No trips to the grocery store and no waste from unused ingredients.
And what is today? Today is Tuesday?
Today is Tuesday.
For me, tomorrow is Blue Apron Day. It comes in, I unload it, I am excited, and every Wednesday night I'm cooking. What about it for you?
Tonight, I'm making the pork ramen that you made over the weekend. I'm really excited about
Let me point this out. Not only was this meal incredible, and it was also one of those meals that you want to get every bit of it, the ingredients on the fork at the same time, because I've really understood food combining. But I say this without joking at all. This was the best pork itself I've ever tasted in my life.
Really?
Yeah. The very best cut of pork I've had in my entire life. Then you put that together with the ramen and all the different spices, and it was out of this world.
Here's something that I love about Blue Apron. You're going to be cooking with specialty ingredients that are normally hard to find. So, for example, it's going to be hard to grab a Japanese eggplant or find a Persian cucumber. They're sending it right to you.
How about the spices, too?
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of times you'll want to do something creative, and you'll go out, you'll find a really expensive spice. There's way too much of it. It's in your house for a year. You have the perfect amount sent to you.
Here's what I'm very, very excited about this week. Chicken cacciatore with grits. You are listening to a man who hadn't cooked before, and now I'm cooking stuff like basil sweet chili chicken, coconut jasmine rice, which is out of this world. Normally, when you buy stuff, you'll think, this isn't as good as, I want it to be. What did I do wrong with this recipe? It's because you're not getting the great ingredients. The reason why you can cook great with Blue Apron is you get ingredients that I guarantee you can't find on your own.
The other great thing is every meal is about 500 to 700 calories per serving, but it's prepared to taste delicious.
Best part, recipes change weekly. You'll enjoy something new every week. I'll be making myself a grilled shrimp sandwich later on. Beef and noodles, just out of this world. First two meals are free when you go to blueapron.com/rawdog. Send us any of the pictures of you guys cooking. We'll put them up on Twitter. Just if you just want to send your meals, we'll go against stars. One of the great things about this is I have a lot of cooking friends that we send stuff back and forth to each other. And then I'll take some of these recipes and move on and do it on my own on times that I even don't get ingredients from them. So I got, because I've been doing this for a couple of years, I've got just an amazing collection of recipes that show you with picture, step by step by step. I also go on the site. That's where I learn how to mince onion and scallion. And if we get some strange vegetable, I'll know in seconds about what it takes. I love it.
Dinner should be healthy and delicious. Get your first two meals at blueapron.com/rawdog.
That was a very special song for the Carlin family. Kelly Carlin is in with us. She's got a brand new book called The Carlin Home Companion. Growing up with George, first of all, congratulations for even being able to pull something like this together.
Thank you. Yeah, like anything after the actual writing of the book is the icing on the cake. You know, the writing of it and having it published it's a dream come true for me. I've been thinking for almost 20 years that I've wanted to do this.
Well, it's such a, unique kind of childhood that you had, because obviously, it's one thing to be the daughter or son of a celebrity, but when that person also happens to be a comedic genius, and then the flaws that came along with that lifetime, that what was happening in the 60s,
of the ages,
of the 70s, which both your dad and mother suffered through, and obviously you did, but then to find a way to rise above it and make sense of it all.
Yeah, our story is a survivor's story.
Mm-hmm.
Our family did make it through. My parents stayed together. Neither one of them died.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still alive,
right?
And that is why I really wanted to write this book, is I wanted to tell the story of not only myself, but this family who made it through. We were the Three Musketeers. My dad used to call us that. And, it is this very interesting, unique thing. And yet, there's a lot of Americans who have a similar story.
Sure. Actually.
So I consider myself one of millions also.
Well, it's always funny when we try to figure out, oh, this person achieved this and they didn't, they still had problems in this area. But I go to a lot of meetings, a lot of secret meetings, and it's rare to run across too many comedic geniuses. I know a lot of bartenders, I know a lot of accountants, and occasionally really creative people who basically have the same problem.
Yes.
As the same.
Course.
Yeah.
We're all human.
Yeah. Yeah, the human problem is...
Well, and I think the creative types, they deal with this a lot. There's a manic depression that comes naturally with creativity. I don't know which the chicken or the egg and that is, but, and it really is about learning to manage those highs and those lows, what that the business itself gives you, and then your own personality or your own chemistry and your own brain gives you, and, those secret meetings can help you out a lot, as other things can too. But yeah, in the end, the last few years, my dad was sober and was going to some meetings, and he was going to these secret ones up on the hills in the Palisades in Beverly Hills with, A-listers and stuff. And he's, I can't tell you who was there, but I just want to let you know, I saw an ex-Beatle the other day. I'm like, Dad, I think you just outed, Ringo Starr, but I guess we all know he's in it. It was really funny.
It's easy to narrow that one down.
Yeah, it was like, gee, Dad, let me think. There's only two alive.
One still gets high. Your story, and you're very open with it.
Yes.
But you were really banging your head against the wall for a lot of years before you figured out your own path.
Yeah. Yeah. It was quite a road. And it was, look, it's funny. I'm so blessed that for like the last 20 years, I've been out of it and have really, really started to get my feet solid on the ground. But boy, there were decades where I was just spinning my wheels for a long, long time. And part of that was, I was lucky. I had a real foundation of love with my parents. I knew I was loved. They ultimately loved each other, even though they had a lot of arguing going on around drugs and alcohol. So when the chaos came, and even though it was terrifying and on some levels traumatic for me, I did have a center. I had a center of something in there, a little seed. But then, in my teenage years, people say, well, you saw your parents do drugs. Why did you turn the other way? And it was like, yeah, but I was self-medicating like they were, depression, anxiety. And I think I was kind of addicted to the chaos. I think I only knew chaos, and so I went out looking for my own version of chaos, and it came in the form of these men in my life, and I'll be the fixer. I'll be the rescuer like I was with my parents. And, but boy, when you're only living for other people and you're living in that people-pleasing mode, you really don't get a chance to find out who you are, what you want, what you're made of or any of that, and that's where I ran into trouble because I just had no sense of self.
And while you're, running into fires, it means that you don't have to look at yourself. You don't have to decide who you are, so that's an odd kind of...
It's an odd addiction.
Yeah, it is kind of an odd addiction. Now, obviously you loved your parents, but when did you, at what age, figure out that we all loved George? I mean, I come from a generation of kids that I can't tell you how important George was to us and guys in my neighborhood, particularly since we were Catholic guys. And Class Clown was a jaw dropper for us, and that thing got passed around like it was a Playboy magazine. Like it was amazing to us.
Yeah, I think really that kind of level of culture changer kind of dad was, those summers of 71, 72, 73, 74, when he was really the hot guy.
Yeah.
He was changing people's lives like that. And we would go places and the amount of kind of worshipy energy towards him, that awe that happens. And then, the chanting of his name and, in audiences and things like that. It's like, oh, okay, dad's really important. But it really wasn't actually until my mid-20s when I went to UCLA and I went back late because I was doing drugs in the early 20s. But at 25, I went back to UCLA. I'm in a freshman remedial class because I haven't been to college and, didn't go in 7 years. And the instructor comes in and he says, we're going to work on compare and contrast essays today. And you'll be doing a lot of these here at UCLA. And I'm going to play you a little something that someone really probably, it's the best example of compare and contrast ever. And this TA, professor guy, not professor, just a teacher, hits the play button on his boombox and out comes my father's voice doing baseball and football.
Wow.
And that's when I realized, he's made a real dent in the culture. This is a man who is, beyond comedy and comedy audiences. He's shaping conversations.
Well, that was, I think, the thing about George is that he would write those pieces as a writer would write, not as an entertainer would write. And that was an amazing, and it's for other people who do comedy, it's extra mind blowing because you don't want to limit yourself to that because it means it has to be perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that fit his personality. He liked that control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but he was, for me, even as a kid, who did the wordplay that teachers wanted to be able to pull off, to show us that language was fun. You know what I mean? I remember this stuff like, I'm not getting in the airplane, on the airplane, I'm getting in the air. All that stuff was so funny to a kid, but it was really that you could have, like Oscar Wilde loved to play those kind of games, and that's the kind of writer that he was.
Yeah.
So, if we even look back now, I think it's pretty limited to George Carlin and Richard Pryor in terms of what comedians will talk about. And I don't care.
Yeah.
It could be Louis C.K., it could be any,
one of those two definitely influenced you more in some way.
And normally both. No one will say, I like Pryor, but I didn't like Carlin, or I like Carlin, didn't like Pryor. They were the Beatles and Stones for us.
And that spans generations too.
It hasn't changed
The answer is the same for young people as it would be for somebody who was young when that album came out.
Absolutely, because, I think everyone who's doing comedy now stands on those two guys' shoulders.
Sure.
And they stood on, Bill Cosby and Lenny Bruce's shoulders, and so I think it is this family tree if you look at it,
right.
And
well, this is another great thing is you're talking about George when he was down in the Village in the 60s, and there were so many amazing performers. First of all, you had Dylan and the whole folk scene, but then George, Cosby, David Steinberg, Joan Rivers,
Mort
Saul. I mean, these guys.
Young Pryor,
These guys, Richard Pryor was there.
Yeah.
And they were kind of walking. Now, I'm sure a generation might from now go, oh, David Tell, you know what I mean? But
Yes.
we need that time. You need decades to look back and go, holy shit, this was unbelievable.
And they were and all those people you just spoke of were like the rock and rollers were reinventing music. These
Right.
guys were all trying to reinvent
Yeah.
this monology art form, because before this it was Sid Caesar and Bob Hope and Danny
Jokes.
Kaye, and it was jokes, and then it was a lot of safe stuff too. But you even think of like Bob Newhart and Woody Allen and people like that. I mean, they were all trying to figure it out. There was something being reinvented also, and they were finding their way. And the frustration my dad had was that on the inside, he was like all of those musicians. He was, he'd been smoking weed since he was 14. So he was hanging out with his people, but he would put this persona on to go on TV because he really had this big dream that he wanted to be kind of a mainstream comedy actor. Danny Kaye was his hero at that time, not as a comedian, but kind of as what he felt he wanted to reach a pinnacle as. And so he was living this dual life, for a good 10 years as a comic, and was so frustrated because he was ready to evolve, and he would try to he would go on these TV shows, especially in the late 60s, and he'd want to do new material, and they would go, oh no, but we love the hippy dippy weatherman, or we love the Indian sergeant. And so he would try to take those characters and put them in new situations to kind of change it up for himself. But he was ready to let go of it. It was so frustrating for him.
There's a Carol Burnett thing that's out now, and there's a piece in there where it looks like George has his foot in both camps, and it's really interesting that anybody that loves comedy to see that this isn't a fully formed thing, that he wasn't a guy born in a certain way. He really worked, and you could see it throughout the years. And he was very popular as a nightclub comedian.
Huge. He got to the pinnacle of that thing.
To stop doing that, right? To stop making money in Vegas and stuff. And he and Richard were somewhere around the same time doing. If you go back and watch Richard was doing a version of Bill Cosby at one point.
And Richard leapt a little earlier than my dad.
Yeah.
Richard made the change a little earlier than my dad did. But yeah, Dad was successful, and he decided to walk away from it all, and it was a bit of a bone of contention in our household for a few months. I mean, my mom was in a panic because my mom, she was ready to move into a beautiful home somewhere, know, and Dad's like, no, we're going to go rent an apartment in Venice Beach now and go hang out with the hippies and the freaks. And, but ultimately my mom got on board because, as I say in the book, I mean, they had this great adventurous beginning in their career. She was up for an adventure, and
she's stunning, by the way. The picture is just absolutely stunning.
Yeah, like a movie star stunning. Yeah, from Dayton, Ohio. And so when Dad made the change, Mom was like, well, let's go get him, because she could then get that kind of us versus them thing going again for them. And because his career got taken over by managers and agents, and she became the mom at home, and she was miserable doing that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and I think she was ready also to let go and not have to be the 60s housewife kind of looking lady. So she became a full-on hippie lady.
It's obviously, we talk about these guys' acts changing, but the entire world was changing.
It was amazing.
And, if you go back, I brought up Class Clown. That obviously has the 7 dirty words, which, was not totally accepted. It was accepted by and beloved by one part, but another part that this was illegal. And you saw your dad as a kid. You saw your dad being arrested. For speech
in Milwaukee. Yeah. I mean, and it was really terrifying times. This is a time when that really was us versus them. I mean, the country was split, right down the middle, and it was very dangerous. It was a sense of danger in the air to be on the freaks side of things. And we were in Milwaukee in Summerfest, and my dad was on stage, and he had recorded Class Clown, but it hadn't come out yet. So the 7 dirty words were not known by people yet, that routine. But he was doing other Class Clown material on stage. He was opening for Arlo Guthrie. And so he was saying, shit and fuck and things like that. And this is it was an outdoor festival. There were tens of thousands of people there, mostly drunk on beer. It was Milwaukee. And, so lots, and children were there in the area, and the cops, these Midwestern cops did not like it. They decided to do something about it. And the promoter came up to my mom and said, look, the cops are here and they're going to arrest him. So, you better tell him what's going on. And my mom knew that he had drugs in his pockets and grabbed some water, walked out on stage. He looked at her like, what the hell are you doing here? She whispered, the cops are here. We got to get off. And this is so my father in this moment. So instead of my dad going, okay, well, we're going to wrap things up and everything. Oh no. What did he start? He started his 7 dirty words bit and started in on it. And about a minute into it, the music started to come up and his microphone got turned down. He ran off stage. We ran into the dressing room. They're stashing drugs in like the bass drum of the band that's going on. And suddenly there was this huge bang. And I thought it was a gun. I thought for sure that the cops were shooting at us. I knew they were coming. And it ended up being a balloon. I was hysterical. There was, chaos going on. We opened the door. There are the cops. They take my dad. They put handcuffs on him and they walk him away. And I was beside myself. I did not know if I would ever see him again. I really didn't know. At that time, Nixon was in charge.
Yeah. So when this is such great lessons for young comedians, because they're like, oh, the PC police, and Mort Saul said this, and Lenny Bruce said this, and George Carlin and Pryor. Those guys knew that they were paying a price every time they went out and changed. You know what I mean? Like, you don't, just because it happened doesn't mean everybody else gets to walk along. That the free speech thing has to be fought really on a daily basis. Absolutely.
Yeah. We slip, it slips away if you don't.
Yeah.
If we don't stand up for our rights. And now it's all about commerce. Now the state isn't going to arrest you.
It's an interesting thing. So it's not the free speech issue, but you are more or less blackballed from making money.
It's about making a living. Exactly. Yeah. Which is, maybe even a more profound sense of censorship
I agree.
in this country.
Here's what we need, Kelly. We need a new word that means if, somebody says something, that they'll make sure that they don't really get to work the way they did before. Because,
it's like McCarthyism.
It really is.
Yeah.
And oddly, it's almost a reverse McCarthyism because liberals are, because they get their feelings hurt sometimes, feel like that person doesn't deserve to speak anymore.
And the thing, I think about it, my dad over the decades and the different ways he dealt with this. My dad was very respectful of minorities and very respectful of women. And he never made fun of a group that had been or was being oppressed by, the majority at any time. But he also said anything can be funny, when he said even a rape joke. And, he says, imagine, Porky Pig fucking raping Elmer Fudd or something like that. I can't really remember the thing, which is a funny image, of course. And so he was certainly a feminist, and he certainly stood very much for the black community because he grew up in Harlem.
Sure.
Those were his people. But he did think that suppressing expression in a democracy is not the way to increase rights of everybody. It's such a backwards way to respect people's rights, and people wanting to identify themselves and tell their own narrative is an important thing. But in a democracy, you can't expect other people to not say whatever the hell they want to say.
Particularly sometimes it has to be uncomfortable for a while before I'm sure as you were seeing George do any bit up front, there was in the opening things while he was putting this together, there was a lot of rough time before we got to the HBO special and saw it finished. Now that kind of stuff gets on the internet before, some of these performers are done with it.
Yeah.
And you're like, there should be clubs that people work out thoughts. You know?
Absolutely. I mean, democracy is about conversation. It's about the marketplace of ideas. And if you're suppressing speech, then there can be no marketplace of ideas. Ideas will win out if they are good ideas.
Yeah,
ultimately.
exactly.
But you can't know that unless everyone gets to offer ideas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're censoring people, you know, it's a chilling effect. If you're not letting people speak out because they're afraid of offending, then how are we going to progress as a species ever?
You know, one of the things that was kind of enlightening to see in terms of George is that we have this thing now that he was so consistent. There were so many specials that we feel like he just got up to a plateau and just lived there. But you bring up in the early 90s, he had another breakthrough.
Yeah.
With a special that I remember the first time I saw it, I'm not even sure I laughed during it because
That's a great point.
I was so frightened by the logic of some of the shit that he was saying.
Yeah.
That, you know, and I had little kids at the time and I'm like, I'm not sure I'm happy that this could be right.
I'm there with you. It was a stunning piece of work. And he had gone through a time in the 80s. I mean, you know, the late 70s. He had been the star up to 75. He ends up hosting the first SNL, which I didn't even know what it was. No one thought it would last a week, basically. But from that, you know, this whole other family of comedy came up, you know, Steve Martin and SNL and SCTV and Monty Python was around and all of that. And so Dad became kind of a little bit of the old guard at that point. And he struggled in the late 70s and 80s a bit, you know, kind of just rehashing the same old stuff. And he talks about this openly in his memoir. And then the late 80s, his mother died, first of all, in the mid 80s. And I think that had something to do with it. And he just reached an age where in 87, he turned 50. I think that's another important turning point in a life. And he just really claimed a whole different level in himself. And and Sam Kinison was another influence on my dad at this time.
Is that right?
He saw that Sam was screaming at the audience and thought, oh, that's how asleep they are. We have to start screaming at them because if we, you know, those of us who lived through the 80s, we remember that decade and it was a tough decade. If you had a rational, progressive heart. And I think, you know, so there were a lot of things that changed him and he stood up and he stood out. And the show you're talking about is Jammin' in New York. Yeah. And he said that after 30 years of doing stand-up, he had finally found his true artistic voice. I mean, that says so much about what it takes to really learn a craft.
Yeah.
And what maturity does to an art form.
Well, you know, in that kind of archetype, I remember, I'm not even sure I realized it at the time, but that for me is where he moved into the wise man thing, you know?
Beautifully said.
You could actually, you know, where the wise man, like where the warriors would come to him and he goes, you guys are screwing up and you guys are really going to pay the price for it. And I've seen this. So that's why for me it was such a frightening thing because he basically said we blew it. I mean, you know what I mean? It was
he was Gandalf saying, get your shit together, people. I love that.
But it was almost like, at first, like, okay, did America blow it? No, the species itself. And you could see how disappointed he was in us, the people who were living here on the planet at the time. And I remember just thinking, wow, I don't know.
Me too. I mean, I'm like, 92, I was just turning 30. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, I need some hope.
I need
I'm
more.
30.
Yeah.
I'm planning on being here at least 40, 50 years. Yeah. I need some hope for this species. But it is the kind of wake up call you get like when your family does an intervention on you.
Right.
It's that reality check time like, oh, yeah, maybe I do need to look at myself and what we're doing here. And I think that ultimately is what his, he never said he had a purpose like that. He always was like, my purpose is to make people laugh.
Right.
But I think the humanity in him was like, we need to take responsibility for ourselves. And, now it's even scarier because now we look back and we're like, we needed to take responsibilities with ourselves in 92.
Right.
Well, look where we are now. And no one's talking about climate change in a presidential race right now.
Yeah.
It's like, so yeah.
Well, right.
We need the wise man. We need a wise man right now.
We do, but now, of course, because of the internet and stuff, there's so many screaming voices, right? Like it's just screaming. So there's no time to talk. And I thought
That's a great point.
I thought what George was doing too was, hey, just because you're liberal don't mean, it doesn't mean shit to me, really.
Right.
You've got to.
I mean, he was certainly a progressive, my father.
Yeah.
He always chose people over property. That was the line he saw between the two sides. But yeah, he didn't let anyone off the hook.
Well, I got the chance to open for him at this big theater on New Year's Eve, and I had my kids with me and everything. It was truly one of the greatest nights of my life, and met George and got me picture taken. But so I did my set. And it's New Year's Eve, and it was a pretty expensive ticket. And he went out, and this is in Florida, and opened up the show on these people about golf courses and how homeless people could get there. And I mean, first 10, 12 minutes of his set, you could have heard a pin drop. And I am biting through my wrist, and I'm peeking to look at the audience's shocked faces. And all I could think of, it's the boldest thing to tell people. These are the people who belong to country clubs.
Yeah. Right.
These are the people.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, when that part of his act was over, they laughed hysterically.
Yes.
But he took them to task. It was an amazing.
He was
thing to
fearless.
say.
He was fearless in that, and yeah, I'm just starting to claim a little bit of that fearlessness for myself, but wow, he never worried about that,
Stunning, right?
It
It's
really
a stunning
was stunning.
thing to pull off.
It is.
Because it's a natural human instinct.
Please like me.
To let me win you over.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll get to the point where I'll do some of this other riskier material.
Well, and with him though, it's like part of what would win an audience over is, yes, he would get onto the goofier stuff or whatever, but you could never argue with his logic.
Yeah.
That was the thing. He was so logical that even if you were stunned and you were a golf club guy or whatever, some part of your brain's going, well, he is right about that.
Yeah.
We are taking up too much land and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like this. I mean, logically, you can't argue with it.
You've given some stuff to, is it the Grammy Museum? Is that?
We're doing an exhibition at the Grammy Museum in Los Angeles starting September 30th. It's on loan basically, but I have 7 trunks of my dad's memorabilia.
Wow.
And I'm hoping to find an institution, a home for it eventually in the next few years. But yeah, we're going to do this. They're doing a 6-month exhibition, which I'm very excited about for fans to get a little glimpse of some of the treasures I have. And Friday, October 2nd, we're doing a public program, which is a book event for me. And I'm having Kevin Pollak come in.
That's great.
He's going to read from my dad's memoir. And I'm going to read from mine, and I'm going to find some dueling times, same
really,
time
really
periods,
fun.
And maybe they'll coincide, and maybe they'll be 2 different perspectives. But I thought that would be fun to do.
Is Kevin going to do it as your dad, or is he?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I think he could just be Kevin. I'd like him to do it as Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
Or he could just change voices for each section or something.
Well, at what point too? Because I think you get around to embracing the fact that your parents were people. And I think it's always difficult.
I think it's why I wrote the book.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I wrote the book because, yes, I think an important part of becoming a mature adult is realizing your parents are people.
Yeah.
I idolized my dad for decades and decades. And then I demonized my mother too because of her alcoholism. And at some point you have to understand that there's both dark and light inside of every human. And we're allowed to love all of the parts of ourselves and forgive the parts that we don't love. And I really, that's an important lesson for me in growing up and really freed me from a lot of my bullshit in my head. And so one of the slices of why I wanted to write this book was that to let people see that this guy they worship is human.
Right.
And we're all human. And we're all broken and we're all magnificent and we're all just trying to figure it out.
And he was going through that constantly.
Yeah.
On a, it's all there in the material, but he was working on it. But I love the fact that you realized that you were loved. And I also really found it so interesting about when you were having panic attacks at an age where I'm not even sure that we had that name yet.
Yeah.
So it was really terrifying.
Yeah.
When you hit your first panic attack, you don't go, oh, this is one of those panic attacks.
I must have an anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
I need a Xanax.
Yeah. Instead you just go, I'll never go into that mall again.
Yeah, pretty much.
It happens in there.
Yep. It happens when I make a left turn on Wilshire and 26th. And oh yeah.
But
the brain is fascinating.
But it's also, I think, interesting for anyone who goes through that to be able to read this and go, there is another side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is a time, and sometimes it's just times of our life where we're overamped and, you can walk through.
And there's overwhelm, writing this book, I wanted to share my experience, strength, and hope.
And you did. The book, Carlin Home Companion, growing up with George, amazing stories, and good and bad. I guess just the human path.
The human path, exactly.
Thank you so much, Kelly. It was great to see you again.
Great to see you. Great to meet you.
So great to have you here.
Thanks for having me. This is always wonderful.
We'll see you next time. Just to talk about George, you can get a copy of this signed for first responders. For the people that enjoyed the interview, at Kelly_Carlin, at Kelly_Carlin. First responders will give out a copy of that. You brought up something after, Gail. You saw Kelly's dad, George, probably one of his last tours.
Yeah, I think this would be just before Bad For You came out.
Yeah.
So I believe it would have been his last tour because it was in between the last two albums. And he came to my college and just slayed. I mean, he was so smart and funny and nothing was dumbed down for a college audience or no jokes about playing to a college audience. It was just fully launched into his material and it was hilarious.
I would have done something about the dean there,
He's a real dick.
I don't know what the parking situation is now on the quad. That's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least this isn't Stony Brook, am I right, guys?
Screw them!
So a bunch of assholes, right? I don't know. I'm gonna go have a snack after this. How's the cafeteria?
It sucks.
Maybe I ought to move on to the Four Dragons bar.
Yeah! Gonna be there, go! Yeah!
I don't want you to think that I am pandering, but
no, you're not. No. Definitely not.
It seems like I'm doing well with Army Man. So at Kelly_Carlin for you first responders. At Kelly_Carlin. She's written that book, which, by the way, can never be easy to be somebody born in that situation, but eventually get around to go, and I was just in a family. You know what I mean? I was just in a family. That's all. Everyone's always like, wish it was a Kennedy. Kennedy's probably not that different than your parents. The Bush family has done some good things and some bad things for their kids, but they all end up in life accepting and loving each other. What are you going to do?
Yeah, that's all you can do. And instead of going through the two, when you're young, you go through the extremes of like, no one's better than my dad. He's a hero. Then later,
no one's worse.
He's the worst.
He's the worst person I've ever seen before, and he doesn't understand anything. He doesn't get my music. And then you're just like, oh, I see a dude.
He's just
a dude.
Just a man.
The first time you've ever seen anyone like get mad at your dad or yell at your dad, you're like, "Why, you bastard?
How dare you, sir?"
You're speaking to a living saint right now. Asshole, I'll show you, asshole, sir. I'll take this leather glove and slap your face with it.
That's right, I'm a child with a leather glove.
I have that and a nice foil. Is that what they call their swords? Like a foil?
Foil or rapier.
It's a rapier! That's what you're thinking of! You keep the rapier in one arm, the glove in the other. Good help! Just keep up the good work! Woo! I was amazed when she said that Sam made him go, "Oh, look, you've got to yell at the audience. You've got to wake them up." I remember Sunday morning. Yeah, pictures of George's wife in the 60s, you'd fall in love with her. She's just gorgeous. Just a knockout. And I don't ever really remember him talking about his family. I always thought that he kept that somewhat private, unlike, let's say, a Bing Crosby.
Oh, God.
Who would parade his children out and then later take them back and beat them until they passed out.
You wanted everything together. Nothing separates.
They all come out on the Merv Griffin show. You want to take a seat? I can't, sir.
Start crying.
Somehow I have bruises, and I'm not saying how. Because that mean, beautiful singer is right there. Fucking Bing Crosby would just hit his kids like this. Bum, 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 just bum, 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 bum.
Ouch!
Spanking out ass. Bum, 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 bum.
Stop!
You've let down the family. You're acting like a slut. Bum, 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 bum. And your brother's a dick. I swear to God, I watched this show. Our good friend Ed Burns has a show out called Public Morals. And it's about kind of 1960s New York, and the cops are, taking kickbacks. And basically, if the police work, detective work was this, a burglary or murder happens. You literally go and see all the usual suspects. You punch them into the kidneys until someone tells you who they think did it. You go off and grab that guy. What have you heard, right? So he has to leave work because his kid's in the trouble with the nuns. And so he's the dad. Edward Burns is the dad. And the way he's talking to his kid about getting laughs in school, like it's the fucking most, like only clowns get laughs. There's no funny people that ever get laughs. Just stupid clowns that the other kids are laughing at. He goes, "Is that it, comedian? Is that it? Is this funny to you right now? They're laughing at you. There's a thin line." And I'm like fucking laughing so hard at home because my parents were appalled that I could get a laugh. Appalled. They figured you got to laugh. What did you do? Helicopter dick? Because you're a fucking moron. So he was calling his kids like the town clown and shit. And I remember all those type of things. When I graduated from high school and I got like the class clown award, right? My fucking parents didn't even say anything to me. It was in the yearbook. Now you find out in October, the June comes around in the yearbook. This is how I keep things. So they call up my cousin. They go like this. "What is funny? What's he saying that's so funny?" And my cousin's like, the way he talks, he's always saying stuff that's funny. And they're like, "Funny? What do you mean funny? What's he saying funny?" She's like, like when he's at your house, the stuff that aggravates you so much. That's the funny stuff.
That's the stuff that's good. That's the good stuff.
It's so fun, and I was fucking rolling during this. But they found zero value to wit. Zero value to wit.
That's not hard work.
It's stopping work is the way they saw it. You're ruining things. Kelly _ Carlin.
At Kelly _ Carlin.
Yeah. At Kelly _ Carlin. If you want to get in on that.
The signed copy of her new book, A Carlin Home Companion, Growing Up with George, which is available now in stores and online.
Hey, Bill, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how you doing, Ron?
Yeah.
First, I'd like to thank Gail for being the first person ever to retweet me. I sent her a picture of me and my little chihuahua with our motorcycle helmets on going for a ride. And
all right, let's see this tweet.
Oh, it's a few weeks ago, but I just joined Twitter to follow your show and some of the comedians.
No, that's great.
Nice.
And Gail,
I remember that. I remember that photo well.
Thank you. So the reason I'm calling today, I'd like to thank Chris for the day off. I work in a small production facility for pet food, and I'm in wine country north of Toronto. And yesterday, this beautiful Mercedes truck pulls up, and these 3 Japanese women get out. It's the mother, looking pretty stern, and 2 daughters in their 20s. And you can see they've already been to the wine tours, right? They're a little tipsy. There's cases of wine in the back. So you guys are at break. It's on always, Bennington. And you come back from break, and I hear Chris playing his theme song. So I don't know whether to run to the radio and turn it off before it says, how do I get this dick in my mouth? Or if he's actually going to stop it. So I let it ride. And the 2 girls are a little tipsy, and they start dancing. They're dressed like Paris Hilton, stiletto kind of, And they're looking at me. I'm not a bad-looking guy. And they're looking at me and dancing a little bit. And all of a sudden, it's, what do I got to do to get this dick in my mouth? And the mother slaps the one in the head as hard as she could, right? They're pretty insulted. And I got a phone call from the boss this morning saying, I think you should stay home for the day. That was inappropriate behavior.
Yikes.
So it's a beautiful day, Chris.
You did
It's a
it,
great
Chris.
song. It's a great.
Bridget
It's an XL channel.
Yeah, but his life isn't XL, Chris.
Not always.
His life isn't XL. I read Greg Warren stop in here today. Kelly Carlin and her new book, The Carlin Home Companion, Growing Up with George. You could also hear her first Sunday every month, 7 p.m. East on Raw Dog Comedy Club. Gail, when you met Kelly, right?
Yes.
Did you figure that she would have heard that story about him coming to that thing? I love that story.
I know. I should have
dropped that fucking bomb on her.
Dropped it in.
Yeah, no kidding. Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters are upset that they were booted from the Emmys. Here's what happened. They claim they were booted from the Emmys. They were not. The Emmys were not going to let them do an entire song. They just wanted a piece of the Foo Fighters song because they had 10-minute Andy Samberg bits to run. Why would anyone want to see Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters?
No rock, please. You want to get more Sandberg on here. That's what the Emmys are about. They don't mix well with music, apparently.
Yeah, so I guess you can't say you were bumped from the Emmys. You can only say the Emmys didn't want us to play an entire song.
And then they declined, right? I mean, essentially they said, well, we're not going to do that.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
Which I understand. I mean, it's some pretty good tunes they came up with.
You love that piece you put up on the iBang about the little girl who wants her parents to be friends, even though they're splitting up.
I adore this kid.
I call this kid young Stanley. This is what Stanley had to say to his parents growing up.
Me. Mom, are you ready to be his friend?
Yes.
Try not to be that high up to be friends. I want everything to be low. Okay?
Okay.
Just try your best. I don't want you and my dad to be replaced and meanies again. I want you and my dad to be placed as settled and be friends. I'm not trying to be mean. I just want everyone to be friends. And if I can be nice, I think all of us can be nice too. I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm trying to do my best in my heart. Nothing else than that. I want you, Mom, my dad, everyone to be friends. I want everyone to be smiling. Not like being mad. I want everything smiling.
Was this young Chris Stanley trying to get his parents?
Kid, it ain't gonna work.
I thought it was me in my role with all of you.
I want everyone to be friends in my heart.
I'm trying my best.
I want Joe and Dan to stay in there.
Kid, they're donezo. And they ain't never gonna be friends. You're better off. Trust me.
How do you know? Your
don't
parents
know.
stay together.
No, I'm saying that they should break up. That's the thing to do.
Let's see. Is there something opposite of a child psychologist? Because that should be your job.
Why is this child wiser than you, Stanley?
Yeah, let's hear a little more of this. I by the way, this kid breaks my heart.
I know.
really would take him away from her parents and put him in. I let her be adopted by a poor family somewhere.
Them to smile, especially Nana, everyone. I want everyone to smile. And if that's for my dad and you, Mom, I think you can do it. I think you can settle your mean heights down a little to short heights. Then it's both, okay? I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be a bully. I'm trying to be steady on the floor, not way down, on straight, on the middle where my heart is. My heart is something. Everyone else's heart is something too. And if we live in a world where everyone's being mean, everyone's going to be a monster in their future. What if there's just a little bit of persons and we will eat them, then no one will ever be here. Only
let's
the
stop it.
monsters.
So she's saying that the people turn into monsters?
Yeah,
and
she
being-
says the world
and
will
then-
be monsters if we're
and
not
then
good to
they'll
one
eat
another.
people.
Yeah.
This whole thing seems fake to me with the whole heart thing. I think one of the parents wrote this for the kid. And
That
man-
kid, first of all, a kid at 2 to fucking come up with lines, Chris? You cynical prick.
This child this is a fucking fake viral video.
First of
You've
all,
been fooled.
If someone wrote this for her, they would make something that made a little bit more sense than your height,
No,
bring
no.
it down to the low.
No, they know the kid. They know what the kid talks.
Height size.
Right here at my heart.
What's this little kid know about heart? It's a small child. They don't know
She
anything.
knows one's breaking. Hers.
Yes.
You do a pretty good impression of her.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
In our place. We need everyone to be a person. Everyone. Including me. And my mom. Everyone. I just want everything to be settled down. Nothing else. I just want everything to be good as possible. Nothing else.
Thank you, Tina.
This thing should actually be put out
Come
by a
with
child
me.
being raised by its bad mother. Well, I mean, a child should not lecture you.
I know. If I was the mother of that child, I would probably be crying hysterically,
drown
and I would
myself.
never want anyone to see that my child had to tell me act like a person and not a monster.
Or you'll start eating people. I would take my fucking head, stick it in a bucket, and open my nostrils and mouth until finally I was dead.
Until everything was settled down. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be a bully. I want it to be settled down to the floor or in the middle where my heart is.
That was my favorite. But that fucking thing, I almost started like crying, but like a cartoon cry where the tears just come out the side.
Wonder what take that was.
Like, try to have that little girl have me and Chris get along better and remind Chris to do promos so he doesn't have to be reminded by Don all the time.
Chris, I want you to be settled, not to be loud and to be angry, but to be settled and do your promos so that everyone can be happy and not monsters and crazy idiot like you. Be nice.
Ouch.
And do your promo, okay?
Sure.
Settled in the middle
Yeah.
and on the floor.
You worry when Chris comes into your room at night?
I am scared.
Don't you talk about that.
The way he touches.
Fucking natural.
That was
to you.
really scary. You
Seriously.
dove right into that character.
Yeah, character. That's just the him. the real him.
It's character.
No, it isn't.
Yes.
The intimidation you just used. The voice. There was no hesitation.
No, none whatsoever. First responders, how do they win, Chris?
They tweet at Kelly_Carlin. Kelly_Carlin.
Let her know that you enjoyed her interview today. we'll give one of those folks a copy of A Carlin Home Companion growing up with George. Can you imagine if it was your job to keep your father's legacy? I can't imagine that thing.
Can't imagine.
Well, this is the chair he used to sit in and watch TV. None of us were allowed. Oh, here's the TV. I guess we had broken off the end of it. He was just using these pliers to change the TV in the room. Here's was his slippers. He had them for 48 years.
Wow.
His toes were sticking through. But when we tried to buy him new slippers, he screamed, "These are fine. If I replace anything, it's going to be you people." To the ground.
Saddled.
That must have been one crazy Asian family, the way they were fighting with each other.
What were they screaming at each other?
I can't imagine, but she was drug into that mess. Stanley, you grew up in a nice, solid life, so it's great.
No, not at all.
All right, that's it for us. Thank our guests today. And we had a good time with them, and they were great. Reminding everybody that the Brian Regan, we will be playing 2 p.m. on Raw Dog. That will be played 11 o'clock on Opie Radio, and Bennington On Demand will be a little bit later on today. Joey Jojo, you've been taking care of that?
Yes, sir.
It's nice how he calls you, sir.
All right. That's it. We'll see everybody again. Do I got anything else I need to plug?
No, we're good to go.
Then we'll see you all again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!